Welcome into Sports Time. Bryant and Brett with you in our family leisure studios. We're Sports Time, and we're with you for the next 3 hours. Plenty to talk about today. A lot of football today as we're closer and closer to the football season. We had all of the teams join their, or most of the teams, I should say, join their new conferences yesterday, so we'll talk about that. But also NBA free agency. We're continuing to get more and more news about where guys are going to land and play next year. We also got a retirement in the NBA as well that we'll talk about later. So plenty to get to over these next 3 hours. But Brett, how are you this afternoon?
I'm doing well, Brian, and we are. We're going to cut up and we're going to have fun, but we must start with some very sad news. Our friend Darian Newsom, who's been with us a lot through the years, back jumping in, chipping in, helping out with us a lot, producing and just doing so many things around the radio station. And he also works at Action News 5. Unfortunately, he can't be with us today, and he is out as his family is all grieving the loss of his father earlier today. We were the three of us were quite literally in a group text on business and on fun when the news was delivered to him, and they are really hurting and despairing, and Darian is just a super guy, and all our thoughts and well wishes and kindness, anything we can provide for him goes out to him and his mom and all those that are hurting, children, grandchildren, friends, and he knew his dad was in a tough patch, and it was going to be really hard, but it still hit hard on the somber news. And I don't know when Darian's going to be back with us. We all told him, you go do whatever you got to do. He said he may be here tomorrow, and it could be a while, whatever it is. Darren, you know we love and respect you so much. He has worked so hard and has accomplished so much in really a kind of a career change that he got off into and wanted to get into broadcasting, and he's done it so well. And we just love him and love being around him, and we're hurting and sad for him. It's almost impossible to segue out of that, Brian. I kind of throw it back to you because I know you're like me. We're sad, but we are going to. We're going to go hard today and into the tomorrow and into these holiday weekends, but we're sad thinking about Darian and his family.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. It's very sad to hear that news, and like you said, I mean, we were just talking with him, and you know, he was telling us about some vacations he was taking coming up, and then to get that news was very sad. But I'll say this about Darian, you know, and he reminds me a lot of our old producer Johnny, who's now up in Detroit, where every day when they come to work, they are just thrilled to be here. They're thrilled to be working and talking sports, and always has a smile. And always cutting up. Always has a smile on their face. Always cracking jokes. So I hate that they're having him and his family are having to go through this right now. So definitely keeping him and his family in my prayers. I know you are as well, Brett. But
for sure,
definitely, I know we always say it when anything's going on. I know we like to live by it too. Whenever something bad's happening, we like to take our minds off it with sports, and that's what we're going to try to do.
We do
these next 3 hours, and plenty of stuff to talk about.
Brian, I tell people all the time, we stay in the sports lane. We're going to stay in the sports lane, even when a lot of wild stuff's going on out there around us. Because I really do feel like we're people's relief from the real world.
Sure.
We're the outlet for that. And when people tell me thank you for, air quotes here, sticking to sports, I tell them, you don't know how bad I need it and we need it.
I'd be completely lost without sports. So
because I love this, and recently, Darian, we were kind of laughing. The whole conversation was really kind of laughing back and forth at and with each other. Yeah. And he said, Brett, you make me laugh. I said, Darian, you make me laugh. it cuts both ways. Yeah. So we are thinking a lot about him. You're right. All the conference kind of fallout settled out yesterday, and a few loose ends that we will go into August. But you have that. You have the NBA just on a tear with the breaking news almost every single second with something going on in the NBA. And now we know that LeBron James is probably going to sign the Supermax with the Lakers.
Yeah, and that was kind of the big what's going to happen, because the reporting over the weekend was he wants to bring in another kind of big-time guy. Klay Thompson was the guy that it looked like was going to be able to fill that role and fill that need, but obviously now we know Klay Thompson going to Dallas to join the Mavericks, so he's off the table now. So, and it's getting thin out there. I was talking to Zach this morning, and we were kind of talking about, and I'm sure we'll get to this at some point today, but Grizzlies, I know they drafted Zach Edey, but still probably need another center on the roster to give them depth there. And, we were kind of looking through it and going, wow, there are no centers out there. Really, it's just a bad year for that. And it's kind of like that all around, not just with centers. Obviously, the Lakers don't need a center. They're good on that.
There's no middle class.
There's not. There's the high-end guys, and then there's kind of the minimum guys. There's nobody in the middle. And so, with a lot of guys out, and the Lakers haven't made a lot of moves, haven't been a lot of noise around them. It looks like LeBron's gonna sign that max, and Bronny, it was announced earlier today, he's gonna get a fully guaranteed rookie contract. So the James household is feeling good today, I guess.
And the reports that Klay Thompson's dad, Michael Thompson, really legendary Laker figure, both as a player and as an announcer, kind of Laker lifer for sure. That he really tried to sell Klay Thompson on the Lakers, and that didn't happen. Also, the news of James Wiseman we were talking about yesterday. Is he a bust or not? Well, he's still got time to change that with latching on with the Pacers.
Yeah, and I think that's a great deal for him. Obviously, getting a 2-year deal for the Pacers, and I think a place that he'll be able to go, and I think will be around good people. And we've seen kind of the improvements that the Pacers have made. And I love how people have been kind of spinning this, nationally, because I really like James Wiseman. I know it's been a roller coaster of a basketball career for him, even going all the way back to high school when he couldn't play at times in high school because of everything that was going on with him moving from Nashville to Memphis and playing at East. And so it's just, ever since there, it's been kind of a roller coaster of a basketball career. But at the end of the day, he's still 23 years old, so still very young. A lot of time left to figure things out.
That's younger than every player on Oakland University Grizzlies, according to John Calipari.
According to John Calipari. So there's still plenty of time for him. I like this spot for him. I know some people wanted the Grizzlies to make a move for him and bring him in, but I think this is a really good deal for James Wiseman.
I think it's a good deal for him, too, and I don't know that if he really needed kind of that heat here.
Mm-hmm, yeah. I'm with you.
No, it was. I don't think it was his fault and all that craziness that ensued. Brian, I wouldn't have gotten close to this. I just looked it up. I'm looking at it, so I cheated.
Yeah.
Can you guess the number of games played by James Wiseman in the NBA career?
Career has been in for 3 seasons?
Feels like a long time, doesn't it?
It does. I will
4
say
seasons.
Okay, 4 seasons. Has he crossed the 100 threshold?
He has.
Okay, I'm gonna say 115.
That's really good guess. 147.
Wow.
I would have gone lower than 115.
I would, and that's why I asked 100, because I was like, has he played 100? He got a lot of games last year with Detroit that I don't think even I was paying attention to, because that's what kind of helped me, as I saw earlier that he played 60 some odd games with Detroit last year.
And we've had examples of slower, can't miss starts. That second, third, fourth team, they kind of hit on a little bit.
Yeah.
We've got examples.
Certainly. And so I'm hoping, like I said, I love James Wiseman, and obviously I've been following his career since he was in high school, and when Penny Hardaway took the job and it looked like there was a shot to get him, I was really covering him closely. This was back when I was working for 247, and so I've watched a lot of his game, and so I really hope it works out for him. I hope maybe this is the spot, and honestly, Detroit is not a spot that works out for a lot of people in the past however many years. And, Golden State with those injuries and kind of what they were asking from him, was a little more. I think here in Indiana, he's certainly not going to be asked to be a starter. He's going to be a rotation guy, a guy that all they ask for is for him to come off the bench and give them 10 minutes.
Help when we call you.
Yeah, just help and be productive when we call you. And I think that's where you can build a lot of confidence and, try to figure those things out.
Yeah, so, maybe his best basketball still in front of him. I hope so.
Me too. Yeah, me too. And so only time will tell. And but that was kind of one of the big ones. I even heard, and I was shocked when once Johnny Radio's show was over, we transitioned over to Fox Sports Radio, and they do at the top of every hour a sports update. And the first thing they talked about was James Wiseman getting a 2-year deal with the Indiana Pacers, and I was like, wow, I didn't know that was going to be the leading story for them. So yeah, that's cool to see. Hope it works out for them. But we also some other big news this morning. Because of kind of what we learned this morning about Donovan Mitchell getting his big extension for the Cleveland Cavaliers, which I think is interesting because of the ESPN story that came out right when the Cavaliers were knocked out of the playoffs, kind of talking about, hey, behind the scenes, maybe everything isn't as good as we thought it was throughout this year. Obviously, they made a head coaching change and brought in Kenny Atkinson.
He may have cost JB his job.
He absolutely could have. But now he gets his extension, and we'll see what happens with that Cleveland team now under Kenny Atkinson.
We will. How concerned? What's your panic level? Are you panicked at all on the Grizzlies so far? Not much.
Yeah, I'm not too worried.
Not either.
Right now.
My top story will highlight mine.
Okay, good. I've seen a lot of people kind of talking about, Luke Kennard and the decision they make for him is going to determine a lot. And so they've got to figure that out. But also, you look around, and I can't remember who I saw this morning pointing this out, but you look around and the, specialty players, the knockdown three-point shooting guys, not a lot of those guys are being snatched up quickly. You look at the market, and there's a lot of guys that fit that role still out there, and so the market really hasn't spoke for what those guys are getting out of free agency. And so maybe the Grizzlies are trying to figure that out, to figure out what they want to do with Luke Kennard. Maybe they're trying to work a trade for something else to figure out where the money is so they can figure out what to do with him. But at the end of the day, Luke Kennard is going to be the big one, and whatever they decide to do with him kind of determines where they go the rest of the way. So I think he's the most important. And then, like I said, getting more depth for in the front court, specifically at center, those are the two biggest concerns right now for me. But like we were talking about with DeMichael months ago, he said it. When we get to the offseason, it's not going to be free agency going and getting 4, 5, 6 guys. It's going to be
get well,
and then try that kind of fringe, very outside, figuring out this entire team. And so I think that's where we're at right now. So I'm not worried about it.
Do people not remember one of the bigger, if not the biggest cause of the Grizzlies' poor year last year was all the injuries?
Yeah. And I think a lot of people are forgetting that. When you, between the free agency and people getting upset
Sadly,
about
I think
that.
some here.
I think you're right. And
over there, I can understand maybe they don't know it as much.
Sure. But no, you're absolutely right. I mean, you look at some of the things I've seen on social media, and I think people forget that. Obviously, I think nationally people have forgotten that. We talked so much about after the finals where they had the Grizzlies, 11th in the rankings, or maybe lower than that. It was 11th in the West.
We've been forgotten about.
We have, and a lot. And
27 wins to do that too.
Exactly. And so you got to go show it on the court. But no, you're right. I think you still have to have faith in this front office. And I'll wait. And if the season comes around and you only have one center on the roster and there are some other holes, then maybe. But right now, day 2 of free agency, I'm not super worried about it.
And everybody we've talked to leading up to the draft, since the Grizzlies selected Zach Edey, 2 common denominators, and it all centers around that high pick and roll, the dive right, dive left of the NFL in the NBA. I mean that's running the power play in the NFL.
Oh yeah.
Isn't it?
Oh, absolutely.
Is what a great screen setter he is, and how good and effective he will be on the offensive end doing that. And somebody like Luke Kennard shooting out of that.
Yeah.
And others, and
Yeah.
Desmond Bain.
Oh, yeah.
But and also that he may have trouble defending it a little bit.
Yeah.
Well, defending it, I know you got 7 feet of Jaron Jackson
Sure.
behind you.
Sure, absolutely. So,
Because Jaron Jackson, the guy he's covering on the defensive end, probably is not hanging around at the 3
Right.
with the propensity that Jaron is on the offensive end.
Sure. No, absolutely. And so, no, it's going to be interesting to see, how this team, and I've said it to a couple of my buddies that, no, I was very much against the Zach Edey pick. I like the Zach Edey pick a lot more today than I did last Wednesday or last Tuesday. Whenever I'm not warming up that much. When I say more, I mean it's
I'm on
that
fire.
much.
I'm team #14. Hashtag goes in front.
Yeah, hashtag goes in
Yeah,
front.
okay,
There you go.
yes.
You messed that up yesterday.
Yeah, I got it. I had it in front and behind just to make sure I had it right.
Just, on
So
either
if it's
side.
behind, it's just the pound sign on the phone,
Bingo.
on the old-fashioned
That's right.
phone on my wall in the kitchen, right?
That's exactly right. Yeah, hashtag on the front of it. So now, I'm excited to see, what he shows in summer league. I still. Am interested about that decision to play summer league
It's going to be
instead
some
of Team
hot
Kennedy.
takes coming out of summer league.
Always, Brett.
Oh,
when are there not hot takes? Just wait, Brett, because here's what's going to happen. Let's not kid ourselves. Here's what's going to happen.
That first 2 in 2 games, 2 points, 2 rebounds.
Well, but here's the national one. Bronny James' first game. Whether he plays lights out or if he
could be carried on a throne straight to Springfield.
Right. Yeah, no matter what happens with Bronny James,
wave the retirement years.
That's right.
Put him in the Hall of Fame now.
That's right. No matter what happens with Bronny James, there's going to be hot takes after his first game.
And for the detractors, the 4 in 3 game, 4 points, 3 rebounds, 3 assists, whatever, is going to be a lot of I told you so's. Let's don't have too many I told you so's about summer league.
Yeah, I'll pass on that. I'll wait till November or December, and if that's happening, then
I'll at least give them all of January.
Sure, okay, February. Then I see. But
that's really restrained, isn't it?
That's different. But it's gonna be fun. But I'm not worried about where the Grizzlies are at right now. Well, let me set up today's show before we get to top and not top story of the day. A very busy show this afternoon. 3:30, we'll talk about the NBA free agency. We'll talk about that for 8 or 9 minutes. We'll get out early talking about the NBA free agency because at 3:40, Chip Brown from horns247.com will join us to talk the Texas Longhorns, their move to the SEC, what to expect from this team. Steve Sarkisian, Quinn Ewers.
Is the party still going on?
That's a great question. I saw last night they had like a drone show or some like LED light show in like downtown Austin. So maybe the party's still going on. I have no idea. We'll talk a lot of Texas football with Chip Brown at 3:40. 4 o'clock, Brendan Moore from CFBpod.com will join us, talk some more college football, more of the national college football, and also he's up there in Big Ten country, so we'll talk some Big Ten with him as well. 4:30, we'll talk some baseball. 4:45, we'll get to big number of the day. 5 o'clock, Bo Marchant will join us to talk the NFL. We'll also do our quarterbacks and head coach rankings for the NFC West. 5:30, we'll talk about what's trending, and at 5:45, wrap up today's show like we always do with Taco Bell Crunch Time. Let me remind you, we're in our Family Leisure Studios where family and fun come together. Summer is here and it's time to party. 24-foot above-ground pools for $19.99. All ladders, filter systems, and robotic cleaners, 20% off. Select in-stock patio furniture up to 50% off. Play gyms up to $1,000 off, and patio umbrellas 20% off. Also, 4-person hot tubs only $29.99. And don't forget about the discounted pricing on all in-stock pool toys and floats while supplies last. So head over to Family Leisure, 2120 Whitten Road, just north of I-40.
I normally would say produced by Darian Newsom. He's out today, and we want him and his family to be comforted so much in this time of their loss by the Almighty. Bryant Dacus, Brett Norsworthy, we're with you until 6 o'clock. We're Sports Time, and we want you to be a part of it at 901-360-8255. That's the Sissy's Log Cabin text and talk line. All our guests will appear on the Sissy's Log Cabin guest line at 901-360-8255. This hour of our show brought to you every day by Lexus of Memphis at 2600 Ridgeway and online at lexusofmemphis.com. Great offers on all 2024 models and always special leasing options. Drive in luxury and confidence knowing that every new Lexus comes with complimentary first and second maintenance services. Call them at 901-334-9673, but they want you to stop by at the one and only Lexus dealership in town at 2600 Ridgeway and put yourself in the driver's seat of the all-new 2024 flagship LS500, and you'll be looking and you'll be driving in style. When you purchase a Lexus, you get top-of-the-line engineering and design, and they make for the luxury driving experience. Online at LexusOfMemphis.com. Experience amazing at Lexus of Memphis.
Top story of the day.
Well, Brett, my top story of the day takes us to Arrowhead Stadium last night.
How'd it turn out?
Oh, Brett, it didn't turn out well. It
didn't
turn out well at all. Disaster.
So we're not going to be in our World Cup?
Well, no, we'll be in our World Cup, but this is completely different. This is the Copas.
Oh, okay.
This is Copas.
It didn't affect our status to be.
We're good. We're good when it comes to the World Cup.
Is the host automatically in World Cup?
I think they would have to be, right? Like I think I would hope so at least. I'm pretty sure they're good because I saw a ton of tweets about World Cup 2026, but last night was not fun. A 1-0 loss for Team USA.
You just knew it'd be 1-0.
Oh, yeah.
No, excuse
always.
me, 1-0.
1-0. Thank you, Brett. We had talked yesterday about how big this was. They had lost to Panama the game before, and so it had all played out, the tiebreakers and everything. USA either needed to win or tie, and they needed Panama to either tie or lose for America to make it to the knockout stage out of the group stage. So the coach for the U.S. national team, Greg Berhalter, during the game, Panama goes up 1-0, and then I forget who they were playing, like Bolivia or something like that. They tie it 1-1. So he looks out to his players on the field, Brett, while the game is going on, and gets all of their attentions and says, 1-1. They tied it. It's 1-1, letting his players know what the score was of the other game.
So he was scoreboard watching.
Oh, like right after that, like a couple minutes later, the team they're playing last night scores 1-0, just like that. They're down. Now you're playing catch up, not able to come back. The officiating was terrible. The play was bad. The coaching was terrible. We was robbed for sure. Brad, Mexico also did not make it out of the group stage. Another surprise. I say all this because last night, not a lot of sports on. We had a triple header of baseball, but I was watching the soccer game. Also, the camera at Arrowhead, way too far up. I mean, it looked like we were watching ants play soccer.
Yeah.
I wonder what ants playing soccer would look like.
Ants playing soccer?
Yeah, I guess that's right.
That would be real big.
Yeah, I guess it would be. A really bad showing last night for Team USA.
Oh, man. I knew something was going on. I was at AutoZone Park.
That's your soccer update, Brett.
Thank you. My top story, the wheeling and dealing in the NBA, and so far, not much from 91 Bill Street.
No, not much at all.
It doesn't bother me at all. The Grizzlies can legitimately say, who could they trade for that when healthy is going to be better than John Morant and Desmond Bain?
Nobody.
Or what free agent that could they go out and sign?
Nobody.
What could they do right now in this personnel period that would make this team better than just good health and everybody being back? Over 30 different players last year in the Murphy's Law House of Horrors year. Don't lose fact of that's what has set this team back. That's why we're being forgotten. That's why we're a back burner afterthought for a lot of people. Help's on the way.
Yeah, it absolutely is.
Not top story of the day.
Well, my not top story of the day, it's got to be what you were talking about, NBA free agency. The big news today, Donovan Mitchell and the Cleveland Cavaliers agree on a 3-year, $150.3 million extension with a third-year player option. And that's been big news today because after they were kicked out of the NBA playoffs, that was kind of the big story. The Cleveland Cavaliers and kind of the turmoil that was going on behind the scenes front office and players did not trust J.B. Bickerstaff as the coach. Darius Garland's people and Donovan Mitchell's people were kind of going back and forth on who should be the most paid, who should get the dollar signs. It was just a really messy situation in Cleveland, and so it raised a lot of questions about what would happen this offseason. Well, we saw J.B. Bickerstaff get let go. They finally hired Kenny Atkinson last week, but now we see this extension for Donovan Mitchell. Definitely much deserved, an unbelievable player. Donovan Mitchell is when he's able to be out there and healthy, which is a lot of the time, but last year towards the end of the season,
they'll do the new
him.
guy like that.
Oh, they absolutely will. When you've set that precedence, it's hard to get away from it, and we've seen that with the Lakers.
We run the team.
Exactly, and I know that the Lakers have way more prestige, but it's a rotating cycle of coaches. I fear that's what Cleveland's about to get themselves into when you've got guys like this. Also, other news today, Kemba Walker announces his retirement from the NBA. Big news. Love Kemba Walker. Loved his time at UConn. So congrats to him on a great playing career in both college and the pros, but hate that he announced his retirement today.
He was so good at UConn.
Oh,
he
man.
won Kevin Ollie a national championship.
That's crazy. Oh, it was unbelievable.
Ollie was the coach, right?
He was, yeah.
Or was that the end of Calhoun?
No, I think that might have been Calhoun.
That was Calhoun.
It was.
I'm
because
sorry.
Who was Ollie's
Napier
guy?
and Boatwright
That
were
was right.
Ollie's guys.
Napier, that's right.
I'm sorry.
Right.
Boy, got that mistake out of the way early again.
Hey, I mean, as long as you get it out in the first segment, that's all that
I
matters.
caught it, though. I'm very
You
sorry.
did.
My not top story, second half, it's underway in baseball, well underway. And this July 1st, 2nd time period to the All-Star break will determine for a lot of teams during the All-Star break, a lot of meetings, a lot of let's tell the truth about our team. What do we really have will go on, and they'll decide, do we buy, sell, hold, fold, and really what do we want to do by the deadline? But right now, until All-Star break, will dictate what trade deadline looks like for a lot of teams.
It absolutely will. Well, that'll do it for top and not top story of the day. Let's go ahead and get to our first break. And when we come back, we'll talk about NBA free agency, everything that has happened today and what we expect to happen later this afternoon and in the coming days. We'll talk about that and more next on Sports Time.
Start your day with Sports 56 Mornings with Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy. Weekday mornings from 7 to 10, right here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Looking for sports in all the wrong places? Try the Owner's Box Sports Bar and Grill in Lakeland Town Square. Fun, friendly, exciting, and comfortable with wall-to-wall TVs for all your favorite games, 24 taps for all your favorite beers, including NA and local craft beers, and an in-front-of-the-wall full bar for all your other favorite beverages, including a full wine list. And in an upscale menu, patio seating, daily specials, and events, and you found all your sports in the one right place. The Owner's Box Sports Bar and Grill in Lakeland Town Square, Highway 70. Rick's Powder Coating for a beautiful finish every time. Rick's Powder Coating specializes in automotive, ornamental, residential, and industrial coating. With 2 conveyor lines and the largest batch ovens in the Mid-South, Rick's can accommodate all of your powder coating needs. Locally owned and operated since 2002, Rick's Powder Coating will customize a beautiful finish just for you. Drop by or call to see how Rick's Powder Coating can bring color to your life. 901-367-2771 or rickspowdercoating.com.
Celebrate July 4th with the hottest deals at Lowe's. Right now, get 2 select 2 or 2.5 quart red, white, and blue annuals for $10. And buy 2, get 1 free on select paint and exterior stain via Lowe's gift card rebate. Shop these deals before they're gone because Lowe's knows summer savings. Valid for 7/10. Annuals offer in-store only. Excludes Alaska and Hawaii. Actual plant size and selection varies by location. Paint. More terms and restrictions apply. See Lowe's.com/rebates for details while supplies last.
Getting engaged is one of life's most spectacular occasions. And when you find your ring at Sissy's Log Cabin, the promise of a lifetime begins with our promise to always provide unmatched quality, superior service, and brilliant natural diamonds. Find your dream engagement ring, wedding bands, and more when you shop Sissy'sLogCabin.com or stop by one of our 6 locations. Begin the rest of your life right, only at Sissy's Log Cabin, because life's too short for ordinary jewelry.
You or someone you know or care about has dealt with a difficult divorce. When facing divorce, you need the attorneys at Rice Law.
Nick and Larry Rice lead the firm with 3 generations and 7 decades of experience. Located in Memphis, serving the entire state of Tennessee and North Mississippi. Rice Law is who you need to call. Simple or difficult divorce, they know how to handle it. Call Rice Law at 901-526-6701, or for more information, visit them at aboutdivorce.com. That's aboutdivorce.com.
Around here at Wrangler, we are all excited for spring. The longer days, the warmer nights. When you've got your pick of shorts and jeans, either works just fine. Blue skies, open roads. Wrangler, for the ride of life.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here are your hosts, Brett Stack, Sports Movie, and Brian Davis.
Welcome back into Sports Time. Brian and Brett with you in our Family Leisure Studios, and we got to talk NBA free agency. I mentioned it earlier, but the big news today, Donovan Mitchell gets his extension with the Cleveland Cavaliers, 3-year, $150.3 million extension. Brett, when you look at this Cavs team next year, it feels like it's going to be a lot of the same. Obviously, new coach with Kenny Atkinson. This team played well, had a lot of injuries throughout the season. They get to the playoffs. They end up losing to the Celtics. They take one game from the Celtics. What do you expect this Cleveland team to look like next year?
Same thing. They've been, even in the better years throughout their history, that didn't have a guy named LeBron James on the team, about that squishy middle, kind of the good side of the Atlanta Hawks. And that's what we don't want to be in Memphis. We don't want to be in kind of that 4, 5, 6 purgatory. At some point, you want to go all the way down to get that franchise player and try to get good, or you want to do like the Grizzlies were on the way to doing, and consistently being one of those preferred seeds come playoff time. I said it today, Kenny Atkinson was hired. What's he going to do any different there that JB did? I said that, didn't I?
You did. You absolutely did.
And they're going to be in that squishy 4, 5, 6 middle. That's no man's land.
No man's land. No man's land at all. I think you're right, though. I mean, I'm interested to see it, but it looks like it's going to be the same team out there, and I just don't know. When you look at the East getting better, and
they won't win 48 next year.
No, I don't think so. And you see, I mean, it's looking like, I mean, this is going to be a 4-team race in the East now, and I think they're gonna be well behind that.
And you know what it was last year?
What's that?
It was a 1-team race.
That's right. Yes. It was Boston, a ton of space, and then everybody else.
I don't know that it expands out to 4, Brian.
Okay.
You know, can that 4 really beat them in the second round?
No. I don't think so. But I think when I say it's a 4-team race, I think it's going to be 4 teams that are at the top that are very competitive, and then I think it's going to be a major drop off.
Oh, I got you. And you're right in that assessment. It's going to be a big drop off. And that's the case. That's the East. It's very top heavy. Mm-hmm. And now with the Celtics for sale, and I agree, and I said it many times when they were going for number 18, that it's one of the most storied, known assets in all of American sport. I mean, just you know, we talked about brands one time. Some of the great brands across sports was the Boston Celtics.
Of course.
Playing on that parquet, whether they're still at Boston Garden, they're not now, but playing on that parquet, those uniforms, that history, you go there, you look up at those rafters, you know it. If somebody would give you the Boston, I know that if they gave it to you, take it. But would they be one of the teams you would desire to own if you could own an NBA team?
Sure. I mean, why not?
Would you want to own the Celtics before the Lakers?
No.
Would you want to own the Celtics before the Knicks?
No.
I don't think I would either.
No.
Because of the whole weather thing, and you know how I am.
Oh, yeah.
I wouldn't want to own the Celtics before I could own the Miami Heat.
Well, of course. You put me at South Beach. I definitely think I would take that.
And Whit Grusbeck and his group, they're aiming high. Somebody will probably pay it. But that wouldn't be one of the teams. If I won the Powerball, I'd want to go buy the Boston Celtics.
No.
Keith Smith would.
So. Sure. There's a bunch of people that would.
We'll have to ask him Friday when he joins us at 5 on Friday. We'll have to ask him if he's made his bid.
Oh, that's right. Well, I saw he said he put out a funny tweet the other day. He said if everybody goes and like super subscribes to me or to the front office show and goes and leaves, because you can leave messages on YouTube shows that you can pay money that they become like important messages. He goes, if everybody does that, we could have enough money to own the Boston Celtics. And so maybe he has put in his bid. Who knows?
Several years ago, the Powerball got up there wild. And, now, even for one of those wild numbers, you can't buy any of these teams for that.
Oh, no.
Like when the Powerball gets to, even when it crosses to $1 billion, remember?
Sure.
Uncle Sam's knocking on the door getting half almost immediately. A little more than half, really.
Oh, yeah.
So that $1 billion all of a sudden goes to $500 million. $500 million buys you nothing in American sports now.
No, not at all. Not at all. Which is
crazy.
Is
that not unreal?
It's incredible, Brett. I mean,
but it got up to one of those numbers, and we were talking about. I think Rob and I were talking about teams we could buy, and the idea of being able to own the Memphis Grizzlies, wouldn't that be fun?
Oh man, it'd be great.
I said then, and I say it now, the person that finally delivers in the heart of football country and makes them matter will be as big as Huey P. Long.
Oh, for sure.
In Louisiana, if you could pull it off with the Pelicans.
100%. Absolutely. And so
that's a big if.
That's right. It's a big if. But if, then you're massive.
Somebody's going to tap into that one of these days. I still think for the Pelicans, as much as anything, they've got to get a better arena, and they've got to get it closer to the French Quarter.
Got to, yeah.
Now, there's not a lot of wide open land over there.
Yeah, they pack it in tight down there. But that would certainly help, I think.
And to build an arena down there, I guarantee you, if you started out with a budget of whatever the going rate on new arenas,
sure.
How much?
Who
billion?
Oh, easily, I think.
Up there, something wild. You can add double down there because it's going to be a lot of avarice.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
You have to pay off everybody.
Crazy. Did you catch any today? And I haven't been I saw one clip from it. But Dalton Connect and Bronny James were finally introduced as Los Angeles Lakers.
Bronny got a deal, guaranteed deal.
Sure did. Good for him. The only part I saw is they asked him about, you played one season at USC, and you didn't start the year with the team, and what went into your decision to go to the NBA now, and how much of a role did your dad being an active player play into that decision? And Bronny was like, I never really thought much about playing professionally with my dad, but it's cool, I guess. And I was like, oh, okay,
come on now,
all right, okay, I guess that's an okay answer. So I can't wait.
But eventually, it plays out.
That's right. And later tonight, I'm excited. Hopefully, the Lakers post that. So I can go watch it and see everything that Bronny James and Dalton Connect had to say. But let's go ahead and take an early break because when we come back, we're talking Texas football with Chip Brown from horns247.com.
Be sure to follow us at Sports56 WHBQ on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube to watch live video of our shows. Stay up to date with station events and have chances to win prizes. Don't miss out on anything that's going on. Follow us at Sports56 WHBQ.
Top Gun is the largest indoor range in the Mid-South, but size isn't their only difference. Top Gun has the best instructors with over 300 years combined experience and classes all the way from first shot to master marksmanship. Plus, Top Gun is affordable. Gold membership is just $48 a month. That's just $1.60 a day for unlimited range time. Free gun rentals with purchase of ammo and members lounge access. Top Gun 2770 Whitten Road and TopGunMemphis.com. Always shoot with the best. Top Gun Memphis.
Getaway Sports Bar, the best kept secret in town. Open noon to 1:30 a.m. 7 days a week. Garden created this SEC NFL Dream Bar over 20 years ago. You'll never miss a minute of action. 10 TVs, 5 70-inch TVs for all the big games. Come up on 6 pool tables. Closest here in town. Right with pool stick and get you some bar.
is on your mind, they have the Big Green Egg and Accessories. South Haven Supply at Warehouse 51, 8560 Highway 51. Easy home improvement.
Jenkins Floors and More invite you to their retail warehouse where they pass wholesale savings on to you. Jenkins Floors in Little Rock, Cleveland, Mississippi, and now open in Horn Lake at 2356 West Goodman Road. Specializing in flooring and carpeting, tile, plantation shutters, and blinds, Jenkins makes your life easy with a 2-week turnaround. Contractors, builders, or family projects, call 662-469-9350 for a free estimate. Owners Timmy and Rebecca Jenkins say hello to Sports 56 fans and look forward to your business.
It's the Kia Summer Sticker Sales Event, and it's going strong at Gossett Kia on the Pike. Are you ready to ride in your new Kia with 41 MPG Highway? We Gossett! 2024 Kia Forte LXS, $199 a month, $34.99 to a signing. How about 282 miles of EPA estimated range with new 2023 Kia EV6 Win, $249 a month. And 2024 Kia Telluride LX3, $57 a month, both $39.99 to a signing, all 24-month lease. And get peace of mind with Kia's 10-year 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty. Call Bobby J. He's ready to put you in your new Kia today. Gossett Kia, 1900 Covington Pike, online, KiaCovingtonPike.com.
If you want it, we got it at Gossett Motor Cars.
Rebates and incentives. Lease includes PF 695, 650 acquisition fee, EV6 P561 0964, MSRP 50,200, Telluride RG 510 849, MSRP 38305, Forte LXS RE 780 169, MSRP 21820. Plus finance through Hyundai. Excludes tax title license. See dealer for complete details. Offer valid through 6/30/2024 with approved credit, dealer stock only.
Around here at Wrangler, we are all excited for spring. The longer days, the warmer nights. When you've got your pick of shorts and jeans, either works just fine. Blue skies, open roads. Wrangler, for the ride of life.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here are your hosts, Brett Stats Norsworthy and Brian Gates.
Well, it was a big day in the college football world yesterday with a bunch of teams moving and joining their new conferences. Texas and Oklahoma, it became official. They officially became part of the SEC. And joining us now to talk some Texas football, Chip Brown from horns247.com joins us. Go follow him on Twitter at ChipBrown247. Chip, thanks so much for joining us. What was that atmosphere like Sunday night into Monday down in Austin? The festivities, they looked really fun. What's it been like? Is the party still going on for joining the SEC down there?
Oh, man, that was a party. I mean, it was thousands and thousands, and it stretched on and on. You know, I think it was excruciatingly hot, which made it all the more impressive that they got that kind of turnout. Pitbull was feeling it; he was all into it. So, yeah, it was a really big time celebration, and the countdown has been going on for three years. I think Texas fans feel a whole lot better about going into the SEC right now than they did 3 years ago when it was the summer of 2021 when the word got out that Texas and Oklahoma were interested in joining the SEC. And then, of course, there was a 5-7 football season. And I think Longhorn Nation was like, uh-oh, we are not SEC ready. But, credit to Steve Sarkisian. He's rebuilt the roster exactly the way he told Texas officials he would when they hired him. He said, we're going to get bigger in the trenches. We're going to get really fast on the outside, and we're going to build a team in an SEC image. And he didn't even know at that point that they were in talks with the SEC. He would find out about 6 months later. Well, probably a little, sooner than that. But still, he never wavered. I think a lot of people look at Lincoln Riley and say, what was the real reason for him peeling out of OU, where he'd won 4 straight conference championships and had it going, and then goes to USC. But Steve Sarkisian he's always talking about adapting, and in this age of the NIL, in the transfer portal, and in 2025 we'll have revenue sharing with student athletes. It's absolutely the most, seismic change in college athletics maybe ever. So, and it all is happening for the right reasons. I mean, student athletes absolutely deserve their piece of the pie here.
Sure
I mean, the NFL has no farm system. It's college football, and you get paid in the minor leagues of the other sports. So college football players should absolutely be paid. And,
Chip, he's
adapted well.
In the years that you've covered Texas football, is Steve Sarkisian the best play caller you've ever covered?
Yeah, probably. I mean, John Malkovich, for his kind of up and down, high highs,
Right.
low lows, as he
As
had
odd
at
as he
Texas.
could be.
God, I mean, that Big 12 title game in '96 where he,
In St.
dials up
Louis.
roll left, and throws on 4th and 1 from his own 27-yard line, up 3. But Sarkisian he's showing that he is as innovative as they come, and they hired him to match wits with Lincoln Riley, and because Riley was, bringing in one Heisman quarterback, one number 1 draft pick after another, and they were beating Texas. So, Sarkisian said, "Hey, I can do this," and he's still very adamant about wanting to call the plays. He loves it. He feels like he gives his team an advantage. People wonder how he can do it in this day and age where you're the CEO of such a big operation with such a big brand. We're seeing Ryan Day give up play calling. Of course, Jimbo Fisher gave up play calling a year ago to Bobby Petrino. It seems like it's harder and harder for head coaches to also call the plays, but Steve Sarkisian said, "I want to do it as long as I can."
When you mentioned that, and you're absolutely right, a lot of talk this offseason about Steve Sarkisian and if he would give up those play-calling duties. You mentioned it. He still remains very adamant about wanting to be the play caller. Do you think that's the right decision for him? I mean, what have you seen? You mentioned all those other coaches that have stopped calling their plays. Do you think that's the right decision for him going into the season and going forward?
Well, those other coaches hit a roadblock. I mean, Jimbo, it appears, finally got his quarterback right in Connor Wegman, and then they cut him loose. They didn't even let him, he got injured last year.
Everything else came undone. Yeah.
Right, everything else came. Now they're paying $76.7 million to the guy to go away, and it's impacting the rest of their athletic department. But, Ryan Day, one of the best coaches out there, can't beat Michigan for 3 straight years, and now, he's bringing in Chip Kelly, and they're spending like crazy in the NIL market. So, Sarkisian has what the show that he put on last year, going to Alabama, winning that game 34-24, telling his team, "We're going to be aggressive. Trust us. We're going to be aggressive." And they threw deep and they connected deep with, Xavier Worthy and Adonai Mitchell. And, he's still got it, I mean, now what was really strange was their red zone offense. It was not good, and that has to change. I mean, they had 1st and goal from the 1 against Oklahoma and came away with no points and lost that game 34-30. And you know how that goes, guys. You start off well on that, and it tends to feed on itself. If you struggle in the red zone early, that can start to feed on itself. Kind of like my golf game. If I get off the first tee, I'm probably going to have a good day. If I don't, I'm probably not. But
look out.
It's, he's got to get that fixed, but we
got to run the ball in the red zone. If you want to be good in the red zone, you got to run it.
Yep. And he's got the backs to do it. He's got Jaden Blue, who, Tashard Choice, who I think is arguably the best running backs coach in the country. He, recruited Jahmyr Gibbs to Georgia Tech before Gibbs transferred to Bama. He's, recruited C.J. Baxter and Jaden Blue, and he compares Jaden Blue to Jahmyr Gibbs. So he's got a loaded room. I think they absolutely should be able to run the ball because they've got 4 starters back in their offensive line, including Kelvin Banks, who's probably a first-round pick in next year's draft at left tackle. And, offensively, they've got to get cohesion and chemistry with these newcomers at receiver. They brought in Isaiah Bond from Alabama and Silas Bolden from Oregon State and Matthew Golden from Houston and Amari Niblack, the tight end from Alabama, who scored a touchdown against Texas last year at Bryant-Denny. They've got to get on the same page with Quinn Ewers, and they got to do it fast because they play at Michigan, the defending national champ, on September 7th.
Chippy mentioned Quinn Ewers, and he made a little noise. It didn't bother me at all, but it rankled some in SEC country when he said, we're going to be the biggest game on everybody's schedule. Brian and I were going over the Texas schedule before we went on the air at 3 o'clock, and from what I see, Quinn Ewers spoke the truth. You talk about Michigan. They can't wait to have Bevo and the Drum roll into town. We know it's Texas San Antonio Super Bowl. Mississippi State, when they go to Austin, kind of the Jackie Sherrill Bowl, it's always the biggest game of the year for OU. Kirby Smart's talked about the matchup when the Georgia Bulldogs go to Austin. Arkansas, expressly, that's the number one rivalry for them all time. Same for A&M. What Quinn Ewers say that wasn't accurate?
Yeah, and I think Quinn knows, this is they're always going to get the other's best shot because Texas is one of those brands that you either love or hate. They're like the Yankees. They're like the Lakers.
Notre Dame.
In Notre Dame, right. So you either love them or hate them. Either way, you're going to pay attention because you want to know how it turns out. Quinn's been around now long enough to know. And he having gone to Alabama, he knows what that atmosphere in the SEC looks like, feels like, and so I think he's a confident player. I think he's confident in this team, in this offense, and but he better have that chemistry with those receivers down before that season starts because it's going to be tough. I mean, there's no doubt about it.
Yeah. Well, I know we're both excited to see Texas in the SEC. It was fun over the weekend seeing all of it. But, Chip, thanks so much for joining us, and let's do this again soon.
Yeah, you got it. Anytime, guys.
Thanks, Chip.
Thank you, Chip. Happy 4th to you. Thanks so much.
Chip Brown joins us to talk the Texas Longhorns, and I'll be honest, Brett, I am really excited to see Texas play this SEC schedule.
Oh, I am too, and I'll say it again. Brian, what did Quinn Ewers say that's so controversial?
He said nothing controversial. He's absolutely – but the problem is that he is the starting quarterback for the Texas Longhorns. And so whenever he says something that, as true as it might be, at the end of the day, it came out of the mouth of the starting quarterback for the Texas Longhorns. And so everyone hears it in a tone of, we're so much better than you. I'm so much better than you. And so that's how I think, at least.
Now you got to back it up.
You got to back it up, and I think he will.
But I'll go through it again. Well, Colorado State opening night, like a lot of teams that go to Darrell K. Royal Stadium in Austin at Memorial Stadium, Darrell K. Royal Field at Memorial Stadium. It's the nicest locker room in all of sports. Mm-hmm. Now, LSU says they didn't turn the air conditioner on for them.
Well.
But you just wouldn't believe it when you walk in. It's better than at A&M for the visiting locker room. All right, so that's going to be their highlight. They're all there taking selfies out on the field pregame. Going to Michigan. Michigan,
massive.
They say they can't wait to see Texas roll in. I mentioned Texas San Antonio, Louisiana Monroe. Mississippi State going to Austin. Oh, okay, maybe not their biggest game of the year, but they can't wait to go. And
that's right.
And there'll be about 18,000 bullies that go.
Mm-hmm.
OU Red River speaks for itself. Georgia's talked about it all summer. When they come to Nashville, Texas will have more fans at Vandy than Vandy will. Florida, I don't know if that's their biggest, but they look forward to it. Arkansas and A&M, they'll tell you in a second that's the biggest thing.
Absolutely. So I nothing wrong with what he said.
Truth hurts if people are mad about that.
I mean, that's at the end of the day, That's what it is.
And when Ole Miss went down there in 2013, I would have walked. I couldn't wait so badly to get there.
Oh, no doubt.
And then on Sunday to get home, I thought I was going to have to walk there for a while.
That's tough.
Yeah. Finally
easy.
made it.
Well,
it was kiss the ground when you get home.
Well, sometimes you got to do that, Brett.
Yeah.
That's what you got to do. But no,
after a win, you will though.
Of course. And weird. I mean, I just pulled up their schedule while you were going through it to look at it, and scrolling all the way down to the bottom and seeing that SEC logo on the Texas Athletics page.
It's gotten real, hasn't it?
It's real, and seeing it in that Texas burnt orange color. It is definitely for real. So
and anybody that beats them at their stadium, that's one that everybody's going to be taking. And if you go there and beat them, you're going to be taking pictures of the scoreboard. It was the number one moment for me in college.
Oh yeah,
October 17th, 1981.
Oh yeah,
42-11 Razorbacks.
Absolutely.
At Fayetteville.
Absolutely. So no, you're going to
number one. Nothing else was close.
Oh yeah, no. So you'll get a lot of that.
Now they were number one that day too.
Well, that definitely helps. But a lot of teams are going to have Texas and OU circled on that calendar. And when they win, it's going to be welcome to the SEC. We showed you. So.
Real cool story. Didn't have a car my freshman year,
Okay.
and had to borrow a friend of mine's car to take my date home at the wee hours of Sunday morning.
Of course,
it's about 4 a.m.
Woo!
And came down Maple, and Maple runs east-west, and you turn left onto Stadium Drive, and it runs north-south, just parallel to the football stadium. And when I turned left to come down Stadium Drive, the scoreboard was still on 42-11.
Crazy. Holy
It was
cow.
great.
That's
and
awesome.
Now everybody would take a picture of that.
Course.
I had a Polaroid camera.
Yeah, hard to do that, I guess. But we definitely appreciate Chip for stopping by. Go check out his work, horns247.com, to get all of the stories and information about the Texas Longhorns. Also give him a follow on Twitter at ChipBrown247. Let's go ahead and get to a break. When we come back, talking more college football with Brendan Moore.
There's an institution in East Memphis that I love talking about. It's the Spirit Shop at 4848 Poplar Avenue, right down the street from Clark Tower, and it looks like a log cabin. It's been around Memphis since 1969 with a family-owned, friendly, knowledgeable sales staff that is just a wonderful place to go. I love going in and talking wine or bourbons, and they've got such great selection. So if you've not visited the Spirit Shop in a while, it's been remodeled. You'll love what you see when you need spirits. Tell Eddie Wallow said hello.
Make your next grill your last with a Big Green Egg. Smoke, bake, roast, sear, and grill, all with a lifetime warranty. Save money on fuel, eating out, and replacing expensive grills that cannot match the flavor of the Big Green Egg. Ready to cook in only 10 to 15 minutes with temperatures below 200, above 700, and anywhere in between with ease. Change your at-home cooking experience for life. Go to shop.biggreenegg.com.
Looking for an engagement ring that'll really knock your socks off? You need to be at Genesis Diamonds. It's such a privilege at Genesis Diamonds for us to work with the world's finest designers, to be able to offer brands like Tacori and Veragio, and we're excited to be able to give you some brands. Genesis Vice President David Cooper confirms the shipping, the detail, the quality, the individuality is bar none better than anything else. Genesis has been selected as an exclusive provider for every top designer from New York and California. Rings to choose from, and if that's not enough, they can create something that's truly custom craft your literally anything you can imagine. We have the capabilities to realize any dream you have. Things that other stores may call new, we've been doing for 5 years already. So don't settle for a mediocre style design. You deserve. I'm David Cooper from Genesis Diamonds, and I'm excited to see you show. It's extended.
You're probably careful with your personal information. But what about the other places that have it? Like the doctor's office that mixed up your files? They have your social security number. The power company that mistakenly cut your service has your payment info and last 3 addresses. And the hotel that lost your reservation has your passport info. Your information is in endless places outside of your control. Any one of them could accidentally expose you to hackers and identity theft through lax security, breaches, or simple mistakes. But LifeLock monitors millions of data points every second and alerts you to a wide range of threats. If your identity is stolen, a U.S.-based restoration specialist will fix it, guaranteed, or your money back, with plans covering up to $3 million for stolen funds and expenses. Mistakes happen. Don't let not having protection be one of them. Save up to 40% your first year at LifeLock.com with promo code NEWS. That's promo code NEWS at LifeLock.com to save up to 40%. Terms apply.
It's time to ride during the Gossett Mitsubishi Motors Summer Sales Event. Check out 43 MPG Highway in a new 2024 Mitsubishi Mirage. $17,935 or $249 a month. Need extra room for your vacation? Let Gossett make it happen with 2024 Mitsubishi Outlander. $30,490 or $449 per month. And go for miles and miles with 420 total range in 2024 Mitsubishi Outlander PHEV. $599 a month. Plus peace of mind with Mitsubishi's 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty. Gossett Mitsubishi, 1870 Covington Pike, and 24/7 at MemphisMitsubishi.com.
If you want it, we got it at Gossett Motor Cars.
Military rebate, 500 loyalty rebate. Mirage Outlander 84 months. Mirage RHO 10934. MSRP 18435. Outlander RZO 55981. MSRP 31490. PHEV RZO 35245. MSRP 48065. Includes 1095 acquisition fee. Sale price includes all rebates and incentives. Excludes processing fee of $695. Lease terms includes processing fee of $695. 15 cents per mile excess wear and tear. With approved credit CD for complete details. Offer valid through end of the month. Dealer stock only.
Sports 56 traffic.
Good afternoon. We saw some flashing lights a few minutes ago on 240 westbound, just past Lamar. Give yourself a little bit of extra time out here. Lots of law enforcement present. You're going to see lots of radar the next couple of days for sure. Be careful out here as it builds on 40 East from Sycamore View Road all the way out into Fayette County. Weimer's Jewelry right here in Memphis specializes in bridal rings purchases. Go by and see them and shop local at Weimer's Jewelry on Highway 64. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Welcome back into Sports Time. Bryant and Brett with you in our Family Leisure Studios, and joining us to start our second hour, Brendan Moore from CFBpod.com joins us to talk some college football. Go give him a follow on Twitter at BMooreCFB. Brendan, thanks so much for joining us. I'm curious, I saw over on your social media page, the CFB Focus 2024 season preview that you've put out. It's out there. People can go and purchase it to get ready for the upcoming season. Let people know where they can find that and tell them more about what they can find inside of that.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks for having me on, you guys. The CFB Focus digital preview magazine, over 330 pages of content, everything you need to know about this upcoming college football season, all in one place. And we pride ourselves, cheap price. It's only $12. So you can get it on CFBpod.com. You can go get it right now. You can read it tonight. I mean, I think it's a great read. We spent a whole lot of hours on it, so would really appreciate the support. $12, CFBpod.com.
Brendan, how many teams do you think can make the college football playoff? I know there'll be 12, but how many are out there dreaming of, we're in. Yeah,
I put out a tweet probably a couple of weeks ago about this. I think there's about a little over 20 that I think have a realistic shot of doing so, and that I would not be surprised at all if they make it. I mean, you're looking probably around half the SEC, probably 4 or 5 teams from the Big Ten, a couple from the ACC, a couple from the Big 12. I also included about 3 or 4 from the G5 as well. So to me, I think it's about a little over 20 that I think have a realistic shot of doing so, and I would not be surprised to see those teams in it.
And I asked that wanting to walk you into the G5 conversation because this morning, very fine reporter that's on the Memphis Tigers football beat for the Commercial Appeal, Jonah Dillon, he did a story on kind of the teams that Memphis fans need to keep an eye on this year, and he had about 5 or 6. I think I think it even encompassed maybe Texas State and a couple from the Sun Belt as outliers. And we have talked about this is the year of scoreboard watching. The Memphis Tigers, they need to be, and their fans, they got to be pulling for their team, but they got to be pulling against all those teams right out of the gate.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Memphis is one of those teams. I would not be surprised to see them in that 12-team field. But look, it's probably going to take a Liberty, a team that went 12-0, undefeated regular season last year. They have an easy schedule too, again this year. No power conference opponents on Liberty's schedule. So that's a team they're going to need to root for to lose. So
Look out for New Mexico State with Liberty.
But New Mexico State, yeah, should be a solid team. They did lose a lot of guys to Vandy. Head coach is gone. So New Mexico State could be a factor. We'll see. But Liberty, I'd be worried about. Boise State out west should have a solid team as they typically do. Tulane, even in conference there in the AAC, should be a really good team. I like their hire of John Summerall. Yeah, I would be surprised if the Sun Belt got the team in just because of how much parity's been in that conference for the past few years. So if they do get a team, I mean, App State it might be a contender, but just again, I just think there's too much parity in the Sun Belt, and ditto with the MAC.
When you look at a team like Liberty, because they were the Group of 5 representative in the New Year's Six bowl games last year, but obviously they get up against Oregon and really not a great showing. If Liberty goes out and does the exact same thing this year that they did last year, I remember this past season there was a lot of conversation about who should be the Group of 5. You know, Liberty, they've played well, they're undefeated, but also you had an SMU team that just won the American and played really well. I think had 1 or 2 losses on the season. How much do you think seeing Liberty last year and seeing that weakness of schedule last year and what Oregon did to them, how much do you think that will affect them this year if kind of we see the same thing happening and there's a conversation between them and maybe a team like Memphis?
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly going to play a factor. I mean, the committee on Selection Sunday, if that 12 seed for that G5 team is coming down between an undefeated Liberty and like a one-loss Memphis, let's say, I do think they'll give the nod to a one-loss Memphis because strength of schedule, because of what happened last year, it's going to be in the back of their mind, that's for sure. There's no ignoring what happened last year, even though it's a kind of a different team and new pieces, new faces. So, but if Liberty, if they go undefeated, and then the next best G5 team is, a 10-2 Memphis or a 9-3 Boise or a 9-3 Tulane. I mean, there's still a good chance Liberty still gets that G5 spot if they're +2 or +3 in the win column to the next best G5 team.
Tell me why we always kind of stay reluctant on really going all in on James Franklin and Penn State, 5 double-digit win seasons over the last 8 years, but only 1 Big Ten title, 0 college football playoff trips. And I can't get out of my mind what I saw out of them in the Peach Bowl against Ole Miss. Is that why we don't trust James Franklin? And I know he can coach. I saw it at Vanderbilt, and I've seen it at Penn State.
Yeah, it's the big games. That's what his problem has been at Penn State, and that's what his problem continues to be at Penn State. They beat everyone who they should be. That's why their records are consistently, 9 wins, 10 wins. That's why they are consistently up there, consistently kind of in that top 15, top 10 range. But it's those big games. Look what they did against Michigan this year. Look what they did against Ohio State. That offense just did not show up. It's really the big games what I'm looking for this year with Penn State. I mean, even if they lose to in their big games, I know they play Ohio State this year. I'll have to take a look at their schedule and see exactly what some of those other big games are. But even if they don't really show up and they still go 10-2, that's still probably a spot in the playoffs. But still, we're saying the same thing about James Franklin, that the team just doesn't really show up in big games. So Penn State, it's a real interesting team to me to watch.
When you look, obviously yesterday was a big day for a lot of teams joining their new conferences. I think the Big Ten I think most of those teams join in August, the 1st of August. I could be wrong. But who makes the biggest impact in year one? I know Oregon's getting a lot of praise in these preseason magazines and different rankings that people put together. But who's going to be the biggest factor coming into the Big Ten this year from the Pac-12?
I think it's 100% Oregon. I think they're built to succeed at the highest level in the best conferences in the country between the Big Ten and SEC. I think it's Oregon. I think they're the best of the four moving into the Big Ten. Just looking at some of the other teams, USC still have questions about their defense, major questions about their defense. We'll see how they do with a new defensive coordinator, pretty much a totally new defensive staff. Washington, new head coach, lost a ton of talent, pretty much all their starters. And UCLA is kind of a different story. Again, a new head coach, kind of in a rebuild mode a little bit. So to me, Oregon by far is the top team from the Pac-12 moving into the Big Ten. And I think that there's a good shot that they're lifting the trophy in Indianapolis come December here.
Who's the team that's kind of the summertime darling that when we get to Selection Sunday, everybody's going to look back and go, man, what was I thinking? Why did I have them? They wrecked every preseason prediction that I had. A lot of times people through the years will say Notre Dame's too highly thought of because they sell magazines. Well, I don't think Marcus Freeman's team is the summertime darling that's going to wreck brackets. Who's the team you think will wreck them?
Ooh, wreck bracket. That's a good one. I think there's a chance Alabama could be disappointing just because of all the new faces with Kalen DeBoer coming. I think he's a heck of a coach, but there's also a lot of moving parts, a lot of new faces in terms of players, pretty much a new coaching staff. So there's a lot of change, and there's a lot of change. There's also a lot of uncertainty. So there's a chance. I don't think it's going to happen. There's a chance, though, that Alabama could miss this college football playoff. They lose 3 or 4 games. Maybe another one, thinking kind of outside the box, the ACC. Florida State, there's a lot of change there, too, just in terms of the talent they lost to the NFL. There's a good chance that they don't win the ACC this year. I have some serious questions about them. I have serious questions about Clemson. I have a lot of questions about just the ACC in general and who's going to come out of that conference. So I wouldn't be shocked if you see kind of a dark horse from the ACC kind of emerge, maybe in Miami, heck, maybe even in SMU's first year in that conference. So for some surprises this year for sure.
And Dave Dorn at North Carolina State, he always has a pretty representative team on the field. They've won 8 games each of the last 4 years, and I don't think anybody really ever gives them enough regard. He kind of does in the ACC what I think Mike Gundy does in the Big 12.
Yeah, the difference is, though, Doran has never won a conference championship, never won double-digit games at NC State. For me, he needs to get over that hump first, get to that 10 wins, and then we can start that conversation of, he's equivalent to a Mike Gundy, he's doing at Oklahoma State, or like a James Franklin at Penn State, where there might not be like an elite coach, but they're a really, really good coach. To me, Dorn right now is a good coach, but needs to get to those double-digit wins.
Talking about a team like Alabama, when you look at Michigan, what do you expect from them this year? I've heard some people say that maybe that's a team that a lot of people like before the season starts in the rankings, but obviously new head coach, a lot of new on that staff, a lot of new with that roster. And this is sheer ignorance from me because I really am not familiar with what they've done this offseason with that roster. What do you expect to see this year from Michigan?
Yeah, them to me is one of the bigger mystery teams in terms of college football playoff contenders, just because it's a totally new staff. Harbaugh's gone. Sharon Moore's taken over as the head coach. New offensive coordinator, new defensive coordinator. And I still think the culture will largely be intact. I know you're losing a lot of the leaders, but I do think there's still kind of that culture of, the Michigan versus everybody thing. Everyone's kind of out to get us, like we saw with that sign stealing thing. So to me, I do think Michigan's going to make the college football playoff if I were to place a bet on it now. I think the defense is going to be really good again. They got one of the best interior defensive lines in the country. Got some solid guys in the secondary as well. Quarterback, we'll see. I know Alex Orji's probably going to be the starter there. We'll see how he does. Kind of a true dual threat guy. And a receiver, I have some questions about. Edwards is a solid running back. So I think Michigan's a solid team. I don't think they're a title contender per se to win the national championship, but I do think there's a really good shot that you'll see them in that 12-team playoff.
Brendan Moore, our guest, talking college football, and I asked you, Brendan, for the team that could be the bracket buster, the one that you just couldn't believe you loved last summer in the hot days of July. And we threw out a lot of different names. We didn't get to Ole Miss. And one thing in comparison to Ole Miss to Notre Dame, Ole Miss is not selling magazines across the country, but they are selling 29 wins in 3 years, 11 wins last year, a third-year starting quarterback, and a lot of additions in the portal. Are they overrated or rated about properly?
I think right now they're rated about properly. I would have them in kind of outside the top 4. I'd probably say in that 5, 6, 7 range here in the preseason. To me, I still think Ole Miss has a lot to prove. You really haven't seen it totally done before, where a team, where a majority of that first team is built through the transfer portal. I mean, Kiffin does a good job high school recruiting, but he's dipping in the transfer portal a lot as well. So I'm interested to see how that works out. Can you make a semifinal? Can you make a national title game with using that much players from the transfer portal? I think Ole Miss has a good shot. This might be their best shot, maybe ever, to win the national championship down there in Oxford. So Ole Miss, certainly, I think they're a title contender.
And that's the big question about it, is the sustainability question. If the Ole Miss had that, let's just say they got to the Elite Eight, got to the quarterfinals, to the bowl part of the playoff season next year. We know what next summer is going to be around Lane Kiffin entering year 6 at Ole Miss. It'll be, can you do it again?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the sustainability is the key. I mean, with the transfer portal, if you rely that much on it, it's going to be kind of a hit or miss each year. I mean, you don't know where you're going to get it. So that's why, to me, when I look at teams that rely a ton on the transfer portal, they're kind of mysteries to me. Like a team like Indiana, just to put that in perspective, their leading rusher that they have back this year had -1 yard last year. That's their top rusher they have back. Just so much portal churn there. I mean, maybe not as much at Ole Miss, but to me, a lot of the teams that rely on the portal, they're mysteries year in, year out to me. So that's why I said that I think Ole Miss is their best shot at reaching a national title game, maybe even winning a national title, because to me, the talent that they got there is really elite from what they got from the transfer portal. So hopefully it works out for them.
Yeah. Brendan, when you look at a team like Florida, there's been a lot of talk about this schedule they're going to have to play this season, the toughest schedule in the country. When you look at Billy Napier, there were a lot of questions last year towards the end of the season, even into the offseason, about his job stability and if he would be back as Florida's head coach. What does he have to do this season? What does this year look like for him in order to keep his job?
Yeah, that's a tough question because there's probably going to be some sort of nuance. I think reaching a bowl game would be a solid accomplishment. I don't know if that would keep him his job. It also depends what, if they go 7-5, what does that 7-5 look like?
Sure.
Are they going 7-5 but still getting trounced, by 4 touchdowns to Georgia and to Ole Miss and to Texas? Like, are they competitive in those big games? I think those big games against your Georgias, your Texases, your Ole Miss, your LSU's, those games are going to be key for Florida and for Billy Napier's job status, maybe more so than the games against, middle of the road teams like maybe a UCF or maybe a Miami. So, to me, I think a winning record would warrant him keeping his job for at least one more year. But I do think Napier's under a lot of pressure, and that schedule is absolutely brutal. And you look on the recruiting side of things too. Napier's not doing this year what he's done in the last couple of cycles. Last couple of cycles finished top 15 in recruiting. Now, I mean, he's outside the top 50 in recruiting. So to me, Napier under a lot of pressure. I personally think if I'm betting right now, I think he gets fired this year.
All the media days start next week at the various ones: Big Ten, ACC, Big 12, SEC, and we want an AAC answer as well. Give me one coach from each of those conferences that you want to ask something of.
Ooh, one coach. So SEC, I'd probably say Napier just because I think he's under the most pressure. Big Ten's an interesting one. I think Fickle from Wisconsin, Luke Fickle, didn't perform quite up to my expectations and a lot of people's expectations last year. Curious to see how they look. ACC, Dave Doran's a good one. I mean, kind of time for him to get over that hump. He's got a good enough team to do it. Can he do it this year? Big 12, obviously Deion's a big storyline there. Deion Sanders with Colorado. Then AAC, I'm really interested to see what John Summerall does for Tulane in year one. I think that was one of the best hires in this past coaching carousel cycle of anyone in the country was John Summerall to Tulane.
And I like that Memphis versus Tulane Thanksgiving night matchup, and everybody has Tulane, including that story I referenced earlier from Jonah Dillon today in our paper of record, the Commercial Appeal. But that's simple for either of those teams. Well, you got to win that game. You know you knock the other one out if you do that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, that game could.
That's a playoff game.
It's a potential kind of a playoff game, potential playing game to make the AAC championship game. I mean, there's going to be some other contenders in that conference, but to me, those two are the top teams right now. Memphis, Tulane. That could be a play in the AAC championship game, kind of playoff elimination, like you mentioned there.
Yeah. Well, Brendan, you mentioned Luke Fickell at Wisconsin. We know him very well here in Memphis after his time at Cincinnati, but you mentioned last year, not what I think a lot of people expected in year one for him at Wisconsin. 7-6 on the season, 5-4 in conference play. Well, what do you expect from him this year? Can he make that kind of next step this upcoming season at Wisconsin?
Yeah, I think there is, despite that little bit of an underwhelming season last year. I do think there's positive momentum heading into the year based on the way he's recruiting right now. I think he's getting the guys on campus he needs to get on campus. I do think you'll see an improvement in year two. There's probably going to be a jump from year one to year two with him. I wouldn't be shocked to see this team, win 8-9 games this year, potentially push for, maybe one of those last seeds into that 12-team playoff. But to me, I don't think they're a playoff contender per se, but I do think you'll see improvement from Fickell here in year two. And I'm still fully bought in on him. I'm not out on him or anything or calling him for the hot seat. I trust Fickell. I think he's a heck of a coach, just a little bit underwhelmed in year one.
And to think at one time West Virginia had its choice, Neil Brown or Luke Fickell, and they took Neil Brown.
Well.
Yeah, no, that's crazy to think about. But, Brown did good last year. I'm interested to see what he does this year.
Yeah. Well, Brendan, thanks so much for joining us. Enjoy the 4th of July holiday, and let's do it again soon, all right?
Yeah, man, let me know. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
We will, Brendan.
Thanks,
Thank you. Be safe and enjoy the 4th, as Bryant said. Brendan Moore with us, talking all things college football. And, Brian, I mentioned that kind of play-in game, Thanksgiving night, potentially, for Memphis and Tulane. Brian, when we didn't have a playoff in college football, and there was a time that I was adamantly opposed to one.
Sure.
And my defense was we have a playoff in college football. It's called the regular season.
Yeah.
Well, that wasn't enough for a lot of people, and we moved to 2 and then to 4, and now we're to 12, and we're going to go to 14, and we're going to go to 16. And I think it'll get capped at 16, I think. But FCS, I think they play 20, don't they?
Yeah, there's something like that. In the 20s for sure, I think.
That could happen in college football. It's not going to happen in the near term, but it could in the long term. If it does, I'm going to enjoy it. More football. I think you're asking a lot of 18, 19, 20, and 21-year-olds. That argument doesn't have the ground it used to have because now we're paying a lot of them very, very well.
Yeah.
And they should be. But I like that aspect that we still have a tournament within a tournament called the regular season.
Yeah.
How many times have I talked about on that great date of October 12th when Ole Miss goes to Baton Rouge?
Yep.
Well, if Ole Miss wins for the first time since 2008 in Baton Rouge, they have the inside track over LSU.
That's right.
If the Tigers go to Tulane on Thanksgiving night and win, that's simple. That probably means Memphis is hosting the next weekend in the AAC championship game.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely
Win
right.
games.
Yeah, you're exactly right. It's going to be a lot of fun. You mentioned it, Thanksgiving night this year for Memphis against Tulane, and so I like both of y'all. We're kind of calling it that kind of play-in game almost for really that shot at the getting an advantage. Probably. There's a good chance that could be for an advantage in the conference championship game, and then definitely for a spot in that 12-team playoff. So it's going to be a lot of fun.
Late in the season, when Tennessee goes to Athens, if Tennessee's kind of they're on the outside looking in, you pull upset between the hedges,
For sure.
you're on the inside.
Absolutely right. So I mean, it's gonna make it for some very interesting games in the regular season, and it, like you've been saying a lot of time, a lot of teams are gonna be scoreboard watching and looking around the country and seeing what other teams in their conference, around the country, around their spots, if they're right on the outside, what they're doing on any given Saturday.
Selection Sunday will be a gigantic food fight, though.
100% will.
We're going to have controversy.
For
and
sure.
We was robbed, and I promise you, I'm going to go back to my default answer. Everybody knew the deal when we signed up.
Yep.
If you're heartbroken, you probably didn't win enough games or win impressively enough.
That's right, yes.
And the shoe fits, wear it. No food fight at Jason's Deli. With all their great locations, we enjoy all that great food, whatever location we go to. At Ridgeway Road, where I was yesterday, Poplar and Highland, over by the University of Memphis, down in Olive Branch, out in Cordova, a location near you with over 200 Memphis area associates to help you out. I know this week, from now through this coming weekend, it is grill season. So Jason Deli know that, but how about this before you head to the grill, head to the lake, head to that place. Take some of those desserts in bulk like the strawberry shortcake. Let that be the entertainment, the great enjoyment for the holiday weekend for so many. You want some sides, maybe some of those salads to have side options with all you're going to do on the grill. You can do it at Jason's Deli for almost any meal, for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, catering for 5 to 5,000, whether it's dining in, to go, or delivery. They have you covered with wholesome food forever. It's a family thing at Jason's Deli. It's all about choice. In every location you go in, that salad bar is there for over 30 items for you to choose from. Plenty of organic food to choose from. If you seek a gluten-free menu, you have it. Vegetarian sandwiches, they have it. Healthy kids meals, they have it. You will be delighted at Jason's Deli. Off the menu, all the different salad options like the Mesa chicken salad, the taco salad, the Big Chef salad, all of that and even more. And you can find out about it at jasonsdeli.com and in all the locations, like over by MUS, over by the University of Memphis, down in Olive Branch, and out in Cordova, the complimentary free ice cream on these hot summer days. Now, you can't take that to the lake, will you? But you can take almost anything else you want from Jason's Deli. Check it out online as well at jasonsdeli.com.
Well, let's go ahead and get to a break. Only 3 Major League Baseball games last night, but a much fuller regular schedule of action tonight. So when we come back, we're talking a lot of Major League Baseball. We'll do that next on Sports Time.
We are real sports talk. Sports 56 WHBQ. Available on your radio dial at 560 AM and 98.5 FM, as well as around the world online at sports56whbq.com. Take us with you everywhere by downloading the Sports 56 app. And at home, just say, Alexa, play Sports 56. Wherever you are, stay tuned in to real sports talk. Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Buster's Butcher at 199 South Highland Street in Memphis. We're a full-service butcher shop offering a curated selection of quality meats, cheeses, prepared foods, and more. At Buster's, our skilled butchers are also experienced chefs. They'll be delighted to guide you on selecting, preparing, and cooking our fine selection of products. We're like nothing else you can find in Memphis. Learn more at bustersbutcher.com and come see why every cut counts at Buster's Butcher.
Celebrate July 4th with savings at Lowe's. For a limited time, save on the essentials you need to make your garden pop for summer, like Miracle-Gro 25-quart potting mix. Get 2 bags for just $16 and get up to 40% off. Plus, save an extra $50 on every $500 you spend on select major appliances. Hurry, these deals won't last long because Lowe's knows summer savings. Valid through 7/10. Miracle-Gro excludes Alaska and Hawaii. Appliance savings vary based on purchase amount, excluding supply. See Lowe's.com for more details. While supplies last.
Something amazing is happening in meteorology. Climate researchers are weathering a data storm. That's because CDW transformed devices and infrastructure to pre-configure renewable thinkings, empowering cloud solutions, delivering faster insights to run more accurate forecasting models. So it's almost like they're controlling the weather themselves. Lenovo and CDW. Make amazing happen. Learn more at cdw.com/Lenovo Client.
All 650 acquisition fee, Telluride RG 510849, MSRP 38305, Forte LXS RE 780 169, MSRP 21820. Includes all rebates and incentives. Must finance through Hyundai. Excludes tax, title, and license. See dealer for complete details. Offer valid through 6/30/2024 with approved credit. Dealer stock only.
Hey, Jeff, I hear you've got the Kia Summer Sticker Sales event going on right now at Gossett Kia South on Mount Moriah. Give me some scoop.
Randy, the scoop is I'm ready to put you in a new Kia for less. 2024 Kia Forte LXS 41 MPG Highway, $199 a month, $34.99 due at signing. How about a 2024 Kia Telluride LX 357 a month, $39.99 due at signing, 24-month lease.
Plus 0% for 48 months on 2024 EV9. And every Gossett Kia comes with a 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty.
So whether you live in Horn Lake, South Haven, Olive Branch, or Memphis, you'll be happy at Gossett Kia South on Mount Moriah.
Gossett Kia South, 2680 Mount Moriah, or online anytime. KiaMountMoriah.com.
Sports 56 traffic.
Good afternoon. Still working with a couple of earlier accidents. It's starting to load up again with a little bit more volume down through Midtown on 240 southbound here at South Parkway down to Norris. Lots of radar, at least it has been, and it seems like on and off this afternoon on I-40 East as you head out into Fayette County. Hey, Weimer's Jewelry, 7525 Highway 64 is your full-service, family-owned jewelry store right here in Memphis. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Well, we mentioned it yesterday, but not a lot of baseball action on a Monday night. Only 3 games. The first one started at 2 o'clock. Then we had one about 5:30, another one about 7:30 or 8 out in Colorado. So only 3 games. They did a triple-header on MLB Network, but really nothing going on. A lot going on tonight as we get closer to the 4th of July, where obviously we'll have a ton of day games as teams celebrating the 4th. And then we'll be really close to a trade deadline, and I'm sure after this week we'll start to hear more and more about what teams are going to be sellers, what teams are going to be buyers, and what players could be on the market.
Yeah, and I talked about that earlier. Those organizational meetings, and that's going to be the meetings where everybody else enjoying home run derby and all-star game festivities. That's boilerplate truth-telling time.
Oh, yeah.
You can't go in and kind of fudge, well, I really think Paul Goldschmidt's going to turn it around.
Nope.
Now, we got to know.
That's right.
Because he still could fetch something.
Oh, yeah. No, he definitely could. And I think that's kind of the conversations you have to have, you know. Do we think we can get more now than we can later? Is this our opportunity to be able to get something in return?
And you know who could bring the most of any Cardinal?
Who's that?
It'd send the fans crazy. Ryan Helsley.
No, you're right about that, and definitely.
And as fast, Brian, as it comes and goes with these relievers, wouldn't selling him at the top of the market right now be better than waiting for arm trouble or locating the fastball issues?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it definitely would. And I think that, you know, earlier in the season when, you know, the Cardinals were really struggling and, you know, it looked like we were going to have another season like last year and we were kind of talking blow the entire team up at the deadline, that was the name. That was the first name that everybody nationally was pointing to as here's the guy you trade at the deadline if you're the Cardinals. So, no, you're definitely right. That's definitely would be interesting.
Do you think Pittsburgh's in it for that last wild card?
I'm not sold on their team just because I mean, you know, we talked about it yesterday a little bit. Sometimes I watch this team and they go out there and they hang 6 or 7 runs, and I go, wow, this team, you know, the bats are working. They've got good pitching. This could be a fun team. And then I'll go and watch them the very next day, and they put up a donut, and, you know, pitching's kind of everywhere. And I go, wow, this team can't do anything. They're very up and down, and I'm just not sold on them, yet. Now, if they say we like this group we have, let's try to buy at the deadline, then they definitely could be. They could be in that mix because I think they're kind of right there. I'm just not sold on them yet.
And I'm not sold on them ever spending any money.
No. And that's the big thing is you can say they should go buy, but I got to see it before I believe it.
You can trust Arizona. Arizona has 43, same number of losses as Pittsburgh, 43 each.
Yeah.
Arizona was in the World Series last year.
Absolutely. And it really hasn't been the start that I think anybody wanted for them. And
that's a lot of teams. That's the Mets.
It definitely is. It's the Rangers. It's a lot of teams out there that are kind of going out to slow starts. Houston. But, it looks like they're starting to turn around, starting to figure things out in Arizona. And so I'll be curious to see what they do at the trade deadline and, maybe if they can get back on track for that kind of last part of the year.
Here's a team that's going to sit still at deadline, and they're firmly in the middle of last wild card, maybe even the 5 seed.
Okay.
Boston's not doing anything at the deadline.
No, Boston's not going to do anything at the deadline, and
and that's something from when they became the evil empire.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely
at deadline
right.
They were wheeling and dealing.
Oh, yes, they were. But I don't see them doing anything. There's an interesting story over on ESPN Plus. One player every MLB team should trade for or away this July. Very interesting stuff in here. Did you see who they had the Cardinals trading for?
I read it early. Help me.
Luis Robert.
And that's been suggested. That's been out there. The White Sox, a starting pitcher and a relief pitcher, and Luis Robert, they can really get a return for.
Oh yeah, no, they definitely
maybe
can.
One other position player.
This story is littered with White Sox players. I mean, the first team on here is the White Sox. Trade away Garrett Crochet, but then you keep scrolling and it's the Phillies and Cardinals trade for Luis Robert. You keep going, and there was another guy for the White Sox that was in here. Oh, Eric Fede. Whatever his last name is. He's a White Sox. So I mean, that's already 3. Tommy Pham's in here as well. So 4, by far the most players on here. It feels like the White Sox are going to blow it up at the trade deadline. It'll be interesting, like you said, what they can get in return for those guys.
Oakland will probably move players.
Yeah, and I see Brent Rooker on this list. Who do they have saying should trade for Brent Rooker? Another name that I've heard some people say maybe bring him to St. Louis. I don't know if I would love that, but I do love Brent Rooker.
Mason Miller,
another one.
Is in about every deal.
Yeah, this actually says Athletics trade away Brent Rooker, and it also says Mason Miller under there as kind of the runner-up for that. And, oh, wow, it even says later in this they did a little bit of a blurb for everybody. The Cardinals and Guardians are among the teams who could upgrade at DH, and maybe the Dodgers or Braves would be willing to let him play left field. So Cardinals, Guardians, Dodgers, Braves, those are good teams.
Well, candidly, all those teams you mentioned, there's only one, even with additions.
Oh, yeah.
Still not going to win it all.
Oh,
That's St. Louis.
Exactly. But if I'm Brent Rooker, 3 of those teams I would love to be a part of to make a run at it.
That's the move for Cleveland.
Oh, yeah.
To win it all for the first time since 1948.
It definitely could. I like that fit a lot. So I wouldn't hate it. I would love it. I'm excited to see what happens around the deadline, because there really hadn't been any moves of substance this year, and so I'm curious to see how active teams are this year around the deadline.
It was so long ago that Cleveland won it in 48.
Yeah.
That they beat the Boston Braves in the World Series.
Oh man, that is hilarious. That's great.
They had a left-handed pitcher from Helena, Arkansas, Gene Bearden, won 20 games that year.
Wow.
And it's no longer there, but forever through all the 60s and 70s on every entry into Helena and West Helena, it would have, home of Gene Bearden.
That's great.
Had a big sign up.
Oh,
Park
that's
City had it up
awesome.
for Donnie Kessinger.
That's great. Oh, wow. Yeah.
I don't know which one put it up first, but the other one matched it.
Oh,
and
that's great.
George Kell from Swifton, Arkansas was up
That's awesome.
over here too.
That's great. Wow, get a sign up, I guess. Some other news.
That's hometown Americana.
That sure is. I mean, that's awesome. Anytime I love like when I go on a trip, seeing home of so and so when you enter one of those small towns. It is a lot of fun. It's kind of a game you play on a road trip. Some other MLB news this year. Tim Anderson was DFA'd earlier this morning from the White Sox, batting .214 this year. I mean, a guy that it seemed like when he was with
Superstar.
Chicago, I mean, had...
Now, he was DFA'd this morning from...
Miami.
Yeah.
That's right. And so, but when he was with Chicago, I mean, it felt like had face of Major League Baseball attached to him in a couple of years. And, just went out free agency and, tried to... went to Miami, and I always thought that was a weird fit for him, and it just has not worked out this year. Only 9 RBI this season in 65 games. So, they DFA'd him this morning, and, we'll see what's next for Tim Anderson. 31 years old, Tim Anderson. Kind of surprising. I did not
got really crossways with Tony La Russa.
Sure did.
And others did as well in that ill-fated venture of Tony La Russa. Boy, I bet he regretted doing that.
Yeah,
I hated seeing it end like it ended for him.
Yeah, no, it was not fun to watch that. And now, White Sox are just
it had just passed him by.
It did, and so
it happens.
It does, and it's been bad for a minute now for the White Sox, and it doesn't look like it's getting.
They were real close.
They were a fun team to watch, really fun team to watch. Now, I still enjoy watching them play. I think good value on them, and you get them first 5 innings. They somehow find ways to score early. And
the starting pitching keeps them in a lot of games.
It does. They've got some good starting pitching, and who knows, that could definitely change.
They're going to be in
the
deals.
Deadline. Definitely. They've got some good young starting pitchers as well. One of them going tonight, Drew Thorpe, who has been really good. He's 2-1 on the year, a 4.43 ERA. He'll go for them. Oh, excuse me, that's Thursday. I had it. I was looking at the schedule for that. Chris Flexen goes tonight for the White Sox. He's been terrible. Chris Flexen has been awful this year for the White Sox. But good slate of games starting tonight after really what I thought was poor scheduling from Major League Baseball yesterday.
Took us middle of it was like the All-Star break started early.
Oh man, it was crazy. 3 whole games, Brett.
That was poorly planned. Did your Mariners, your American League team, did they miss their chance to close the door on the West? I mean, on June 18th, they had a healthy lead. Now they've let a lot of teams get back in it.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And one of those teams being the Houston Astros, who we were talking about a second ago.
Finally had their push.
Yeah, I mean, don't look now, but here come the Astros after a really poor start to the season. Now 43-41 on the year. Yeah, I've said it. I'm just not sold on this Mariners team right now. I love watching them play. I watch most all of their games.
It'll cost Scott Servais if he doesn't get the playoffs.
It definitely will, which is sad because I love Scott Servais. But you look at this team. Pitching has not been, I think, as advertised this year from some of those guys. And then the hitting, the bats have just been really quiet as a whole this year. It
back
has
to
been.
last week when I don't know if the average is still around 240 league wide. Everybody could use their big guys getting hot.
Oh, yeah. Oh, absolutely. And I remember talking about that last
Cardinals
week.
at the front of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I remember us going through and looking at all of the totals for that night, whatever night we were talking about, and I mean just a bunch of 7.5, 8s. So definitely hitting is definitely down this year, and you're seeing that league wide. But let's go ahead and get to a break, and when we come back, it'll be time for Big Number of the Day.
Summertime's finally here, and that means it's time to party. Lucky for you, Family Leisure is having a summertime to party sale. Now, what's all included in this party sale? Practically everything. 24-foot above ground pools for as little as $19.99. All ladders, filter systems, and even robotic cleaners are 20% off. Come in and look at all of the in-stock patio furniture Family Leisure has. Plus, it's up to 50% off. Play gyms for the kids, that's $1,000
Anderson hot tub for just under $3,000. We know you're really going to just use it for yourself. Family Leisure has discounted pricing on all in-stock pool toys and floats while the supplies last, so you better get in quick. Plus, Family Leisure has special financing available. Just ask an associate for all the details. Summertime means party time, and Family Leisure is ready for any party. Family Leisure, Whitten Road at I-40, where family and fun all come together.
If the woman of your dreams has been searching online for the perfect engagement ring, she's figured out there's a few brand names that are worthy of consideration. Hey, it's Eric Hasseltine, and she doesn't want a plain, ordinary cookie-cutter ring to wear the rest of her life. She wants a world-class designer ring, handcrafted by a true artisan that will hold value and stand the test of time. She's found Tacori, Verragio, Ajafi, Simon G., among other premium American-made designers. But when you try and find these exclusive rings, you quickly realize most stores don't offer them. They have knockoffs and lookalikes, kind of like those imitation bags and watches on the streets of New York City. But there is one jeweler where you can find the real deal, Genesis Diamonds. Genesis has been chosen by all the most sought-after designers. Genesis is your exclusive home for these iconic brand names that define excellence. Other stores can only dream of being able to offer these, but only Genesis has them. So be careful. Don't settle for anything less than the ring she is worthy of wearing. Genesis Diamonds at Poplar and Perkins Extended.
With all the uncertainty in the economy, the pre-election wobbles. Is my money really safe? That's when I discovered the power of a gold IRA from Noble Gold Investments. It's a tangible asset that can help protect your wealth when times get tough. And with Noble Gold Investments, it was so easy to roll over my existing IRA into a self-directed gold IRA. Their experts guided me through every step. I diversified my retirement portfolio with something real. Don't wait for the election uncertainty to threaten your financial security. Vote for the timeless safety of gold and silver in 2024. Oh, and hear this. They're giving away up to 10 1-ounce silver Trump coins or a 10-ounce silver American flag bar with a qualifying account. Just visit noblegoldinvestments.com now and use the promo code TRUMP. That's noblegoldinvestments.com.
Past performance may not be indicative of future results. Investing in precious metals, including gold, involves risks. Consult with your tax attorney or financial professional before making an investment decision.
I got him on the line, Jason the main man Marshall, and he's ready to rock and gossip Volkswagen on the pike.
Randy, it's vacation time, so take the road wherever it leads you with 42 miles per gallon on the highway in a brand new 2024 Volkswagen Jetta SE for only $249 a month.
That's an awesome deal at Gossip Volkswagen on the pike. And Jason, my main man Marshall, everybody in Memphis knows when it comes to a great deal, it's all about choices.
Take your pick from 2024 Tiguan S front-wheel drive or a 2024 Taos SE for only $279.28 a month, plus 0% for 60 months on all new 24 Taos. And you know my motto, make me an offer, because nothing reasonable will be refused.
Ask for Jason the main man Marshall at Gossip Volkswagen, 1875 Covington Pike. Online, gossipvwmemphis.com.
Where we're charging for it and charging less every day.
Jason's Deli. When you're dining in or picking up curbside, you can expect wholesome food and no surprises. Just delicious sandwiches, crisp salads, and quick quality meals made with the freshest ingredients and no artificial trans fats, MSG, high fructose corn syrup, or artificial colors and dyes. Around here, a lot of thought goes into what we put into our food and what we take out of it. Because you're not just taking the bite, you're getting a taste of who we are. New items are constantly being created to expand our menu for all tastes and special diets, vegan and gluten-free options available. Convenience and on-time delivery you can count on. It's just a click away at jasonsdeli.com. So whether you need to feed 5 people or 5,000, the team at Jason's Deli, they have the credentials and the commitment to keep you satisfied. Freshness is nearby. At Jason's Deli, locations at Ridgeway and the Parkplace Center, Poplar Highland, Germantown Road in Cordova, and Goodman Road in Highland Ranch. Jason's Deli is wholesome food and no surprises.
Do you know one of the best things you can do for your employees or family's health? Provide Arctic Clear bottled water. Arctic Clear bottled water is your locally owned and operated bottled water provider. Arctic Clear is 100% natural spring water with free delivery and setup, dependable service, and no long-term contracts. What an easy choice. Call Jeff Manus today, 901-382-2363, or visit arctic-clear.com. Arctic Clear bottled water. Call now, 382-2363. That's 382-2363.
Admit it.
When you start thinking about tastes of Memphis, you think treats, sweets. You think Dinstall's. For 122 years now. What is that, 5 generations? When people wanted something to bring to a party that will just make everybody happy, they bring out Dinstall's. 122 years of Cashew Crunch, of Heavenly Hash, of Turtlettes, of their award-winning fudge. That's worldwide. It's known that well. Then there's the milk chocolate. It all starts there. There's the double-dip peanuts. And then every fall, those famous chocolate-covered strawberries with that fondant. And they won't tell you what's in the fondant, but it makes it oh so special. And easy to get to. 5 locations. There's where they make the candies in Pleasant View. There's Germantown. There's Collierville. There's even one downtown and in my neck of the woods in Laurelwood. You know what? 122 years made in Memphis and enjoyed by the whole world. Dinstall's.
Now back to Sportstime on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Brian Davis.
Big Daddy.
Hello, Big Brand. It's a guy, he wants to be big, then he gets big, he doesn't want to be big anymore, then he gets small, but the suit's too big.
Big Daddy.
The big boy.
You're a big guy. I think she's trying to pull a fast one on Big Daddy.
The big number of the day.
Well, Brett, my big number comes from the NBA today, and it is 62.8 million. That is a very big number, and it has to do with
You got me on the bigness.
Well, it's a big one. We talk so much about how much money the NBA is able to throw out. It's crazy. Some of these figures we're seeing for these guys. 62.8 million. That is the salary per year for Jason Tatum on his new deal, his new extension with the Boston Celtics. That 62.8 million is more than the per year salary for the entire Anaheim Ducks roster as of July 1st, 2024, which is $58.3 million. That is
Poor
incredible.
Ducks.
Poor Ducks. That's why they're not very good.
Yeah, TV deal's just a little bit better.
Yeah.
My big number is 53. Guess what that stands for, Brian?
What's that? 53? I don't know.
53 days until the start of college football.
Holy cow. Is that right?
And 53 years ago. So listen to these names of teams and compare it to all the teams we're kind of talking about maybe being in Brendan Moore's 20 teams that can get in it. 53 years ago in 1971, final AP poll, it was number 1 Nebraska. They're not in anybody's top 20 to be in. And that was after they annihilated Alabama in the Orange Bowl. Number 1 Nebraska. Number 2 at the end of the year was Oklahoma. I don't think, are they in very many?
I don't think
Would
so.
you have him in a 20 list? Maybe 20.
Maybe, I don't
Closer
know.
to 20 than to 12, though.
Certainly.
Number 3, 1971, Colorado.
Oh, wow.
Colorado.
Wow.
They're not in anybody's 20, but everybody's on blast from Coach Prime. Number 4, Alabama. They're in everybody's list. 5, Penn State. Same thing. 6, Michigan. 7, Georgia from 1971.
How about that?
8 was Arizona State back then. Kenny Dillingham's going to do a good job. He's going to make somebody a good coach.
Oh, for sure.
Maybe when he gets out of there. Herm Edwards did a number on that program.
Oh, yeah.
9, Tennessee in 1971. And they're in some
of course
group. And number 10 in 71 was Stanford. In 1971, 53 years ago, Tennessee beat Arkansas in the Liberty Bowl in the game that put the Liberty Bowl on the map from Memphis.
Wow.
They moved it to Monday Night Football, and it fell right in line as the 15th Monday night on that schedule. That year, 1971, Ole Miss beat Georgia Tech in the Peach Bowl, and in 1971, the Tigers won the Pasadena Bowl over San Jose State.
All right. The good old Pasadena
At the Rose Bowl Stadium.
That's right. Wow. How about that?
Coach Murphy's Tigers.
That's right. Named my dog after Coach Murphy. How about that?
Is that right?
Yeah, our dog Murphy. Yeah, we named him after Coach.
College football Hall of Famer.
That's
now.
right. That's
well
absolutely
deserved, long
yes.
overdue for him
absolutely
finally getting
right. You're absolutely right about that. No, I can't wait. I mean, I have been going through these magazines and getting ready for the season, and I can't wait for some college football.
I've got
Brett.
lists of lists and notes of notes.
Good. That's how it should be, Brett. You know.
Now, if I can just get to all of them at media days.
Well, that's still blows my mind. Ever since you said that yesterday, media days 2 weeks from this week is insane. Hard to believe that we're already there.
We've got other conferences next week. Big 12, I think, is next week in Vegas.
They probably are because they just dropped their preseason poll today.
They did, and that's a hard one to figure. Utah was on top of that poll.
Sure was.
And a lot of people have Utah.
Mm-hmm.
I think you could go down to 5 or 6 teams.
I think you could. Yeah, I think you could.
And I'm starting to think the ACC's growing. Everybody's kind of FSU centric.
Yeah,
I'm mostly there. Then Clemson, and as we were talking about with Brendan, he was talking about teams that could jump in. Miami's everybody's kind of
course,
de jour 3.
Of course.
Then who's your 4? Could be 4 teams.
It could be. It absolutely could be. But yeah,
NC State, one of those.
Sure, absolutely. But the Big 12, I mean, that poll is interesting today. Utah, number 1, Kansas State 2, Oklahoma State 3, Kansas 4, and then Arizona 5. I mean, those are
you could sure go 5
for sure. Those are.
If you picked one of those 5, I don't think you look terrible not getting the champion right come Selection Sunday.
I don't think so.
Or conference championship game.
I don't
Saturday
think so
night.
at all. I think it could really go anyway when it comes.
You
to
like my Arizona over 7.5?
I like that.
Season win total?
Yeah, I do like that.
That's a Brett pick.
Brett pick. How about that? We're getting closer to
1-900.
Doing some bets for the
50,000 stars.
Season. Oh, I love that. Oh, I love
What could
that.
go wrong?
Give it 100 million stars, Brett.
Right.
I mean,
cows.
Who even knows how many
That's right.
stars we have? That's right. But let's go ahead and wrap up this hour and get to a break. When we come back, we're switching gears to talk the NFL with Bo Marchant.
Looking for sports in all the wrong places? Try the Owner's Box Sports Bar and Grill in Lakeland Town Square. Fun, friendly, exciting, and comfortable with wall-to-wall TVs for all your favorite games, 24 taps for all your favorite beers, including NA and local craft beers, and an in-front-of-the-wall full bar for all your other favorite beverages, including a full wine list. And in an upscale menu, patio seating, daily specials, and events, and you found all your sports in the one right place. The Owner's Box Sports Bar and Grill in Lakeland Town Square, Highway 70.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today? Dead battery on America's birthday? America's #1 battery destination is here to help. AutoZone has free battery testing and charging at every store, and batteries starting at just $79.99. With our 4th of July sale, we have savings to help you red, white, and do any other jobs you've been putting off. It's everything you need to get back on the road at AutoZone.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
Marty McNate at Gossett Volkswagen Germantown is turning back prices to give you the best deal in this decade.
Doc gave me orders to turn back time with the 2024 Volkswagen Jetta SE. We got it for $249 a month, and it gets 42 miles per gallon highway. That's much better than my DeLorean, Randy.
You got that right, Marty McNate. And I hear at Gossett Volkswagen Germantown, you got choices.
Take your pick from 2024 Tiguan S front-wheel drive or 2024 Teos SE for $279.28 a month.
Great Scott, McNate. That's Gossett Volkswagen Germantown on Winchester Road. Plus, get 0% for 60 months on Taos.
Your future's whatever you make of it, Randy, so get to Gossett Volkswagen Germantown, 7420 Winchester Road, or shop online at GossettVWG.com.
Guns, guns, and more guns. Over 700 firearms in stock. Home defense guns, old guns, new guns, used guns, big guns, little guns. Every gun you can think of, Classic Arms Browning, Beretta, Benelli, Remington, Winchester, and more. Guaranteed lowest prices in town. Only gun importer in the Mid-South. Free gun inspections and appraisals and free bore sighting for the upcoming deer season. Shop online at ClassicArmsOfMemphis.com or visit Classic Arms at 1740 Germantown Parkway behind Quicky's Barbecue in Cordova.
I'm with John Burgos from the world-famous Rendezvous in the Alley since 1948.
Brett, we have catered parties all over this country and all over the world, from Singapore, Australia to Central Park in New York. But many people don't realize how much we do locally. For holiday events, office parties, tailgating, birthday parties, you can't do better than the Rendezvous. For example, you can get a cheese and sausage tray for 15 to 300 people for $3.75 per person. You can even build your own nacho bar for $10.50 per person. All you need is a minimum of 15 people. In many cases, we can arrange delivery and full-service catering. We've even made it easy to get to-go items. You can just park at our front door in the alley, put on your flashes, and we'll get you going ASAP. For all your catering items and prices, go to hogsfly.com, click on menu, and drop down to catering.
Thank you, John. The Rendezvous, Mr. Charlie Burgos' Rendezvous in the Alley since 1948 and celebrating its 75th year.
Do you know one of the best things you can do for your employees or family's health? Provide Arctic Clear bottled water. Arctic Clear bottled water is your locally owned and operated bottled water provider. Arctic Clear is 100% natural spring water with free delivery and setup, dependable service, and no long-term contracts. What an easy choice. Call Jeff Manus today, 901-382-2363, or visit arctic-clear.com. Arctic Clear bottled water. Call now, 382-2363. That's 382-2363.
Upgrade your commute at Acura of Memphis. Seize the thrill and test drive one of our award-winning models, each packed with cutting-edge technology, luxurious amenities, and a driving experience that's sure to awaken your inner self. Driving shouldn't be a chore, it should be an adventure. Advance your drive today. Shop our aggressive lease and finance options now. Luxury is waiting at Acura Memphis, or shop online 24/7. Visit AcuraofMemphis.com.
This Sports 56 traffic report is brought to you by Luttrell Belting. They keep you moving.
Sports 56 traffic.
Good afternoon. Still working with a couple of earlier accidents. It's starting to load up again with a little bit more volume down through Midtown on 240 southbound here at South Parkway down to Norris. Lots of radar, at least it has been, and it seems like on and off this afternoon on I-40 East as you head out into Fayette County. Hey, Weimer's Jewelry, 7525 Highway 64 is your full-service, family-owned jewelry store right here in Memphis. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
WHBQ Memphis and W253DF Memphis, Flynn Podcasting Stations.
National Football League talk every Tuesday with Bo Marchant, covering the NFL Draft at collegetopro.com and the NFL Draft Bible, covering the Steelers for Sports Illustrated, living and running in Eastern Ohio, and on Twitter X at Bo Marchant. Here's Bo with Bryant and Brett.
Bo Marchant joins us now to talk the NFL like he does every single Tuesday. We also got to rank quarterbacks and head coaches for the NFC West. And Bo, I want to start there. I'm curious because I was thinking different things while I was ranking these quarterbacks for the NFC West. Where would you rank this group of quarterbacks in this division amongst the other divisions in the National Football League?
Oh, great question.
Oh, that is a great question. You know, I think it's a more talented group than what we give them credit for. Even with Brock Purdy's success, the Mr. Irrelevancy kind of looms over his head. People still aren't convinced, even though he led the NFL last year in passer efficiency and QB rating. So there's a lot that goes into being that good at a quarterback. You got to be smart and make the right decisions. Then you have a Super Bowl winner in Stafford, and then you have a number one overall pick in Kyler Murray, who, you know, the Cardinals elected to stay with. There was some maybe thoughts that they might move on from Kyler Murray, but they stayed. And then you have Geno Smith, the resurrection of a career that never went right in New York. But with that said, I think they're above average in terms of some of the other divisions out there. I just think when you look at this division, and I know what I said about Purdy, but I think we look at the Mahomes, the Herberts, we look at the Burrows, the Lamar Jacksons. I think those type of dynamics, I don't think anybody catches our eye, but I think they can be that type. So I'd say out of all the divisions, how many divisions we got, I'd say I made them right in the middle of the pack, but better than average, but definitely not on the latter half. I'd put them in the higher edge.
I like that.
See, both for years, it's one of not much we fundamentally disagree about. I disagree about Geno, and you just said the kind of the resurrection. And this is how bad he was in New York that this counts as a resurrection. He's 17-15 with Seattle, and I think across the sport we think he's had some big metamorphosis. It's still Geno Smith.
Oh, exactly. But compared to what he was in New York, and listen, he had that Cinderella season his first year as a starter in Seattle, and we all kind of felt this was no way he was going to duplicate that success last year. And he kind of failed to live up to those. And you kind of look, Seattle has the weapons offensively. They're able to move the ball. So it comes down to a lot of different factors. It's not all on Geno, but compared to what he was, you're talking almost a comeback player of the year candidate the way he came back 2 years ago. But nonetheless, when we get to the rankings, I assume, I don't know where the top three are going to go, but I'm going to guarantee we all have the same guy at number 4, put it that way.
Yeah, I think we are. Seattle's got to get better on defense. What is that? What ended up costing them with Pete Carroll, or costing Pete Carroll with them, rather?
I think a little bit of age and just the team, and I think there's a lot of different factors that went in that. And it's funny is, sometimes I'll think about our conversations, and I don't know why I thought of it, but I remember last season during the middle, I don't know which week it was, but there was no thought of Belichick or Carroll walking away or anything transpiring that we knew of. And I remember you asked me, do you think Belichick or Pete Carroll would be coaching this year? And to me, I was like, it's a slam dunk, both of them. And I thought, how Brett came up with this question, and lo and behold, neither one of these guys are coaching in the NFL right now, is, to me, astonishing. And, I know age does play a factor, but for Seattle within itself, I just think that it's just, I guess, what are you going to do? You got Geno back, and you're just kind of guide through the emotions. I think there's just maybe a point where you just want to go in a different direction, and you're still a great coach. You won us a Super Bowl, blah, blah, blah. But I think sometimes it's just, you just want to go in a different direction and start fresh. Maybe things were getting stale there, but I wouldn't put any of the blame on Carroll. I think, if anything, I think Seattle exceeded expectations, at least in my mind, over the years, just because Pete Carroll was in-house. I thought he meant a lot, and I think he means a lot, even what he did at USC. You have that type of guy under the umbrella of your organization. You've seen that they've had success.
2 Super Bowl winning coaches that I asked that about, and the only reason I ask it is that seniority list eventually gets you. If you're up there, and every year the league turns over at least about 20%, in people being out, and that's what got them. This year, if that had to happen, to get 2 Super Bowl winning coaches, here's the list that it would have to get. Mike Tomlin, John Harbaugh, Andy Reid are one that we're getting ready to rank, Sean McVay, and won a Super Bowl but not with the Cowboys, Mike McCarthy. Won a Super Bowl but not with Jacksonville, Doug Peterson.
Yeah. They gave the extension to Tomlin, absent of disaster. Reed, at this point, could probably write, a lifetime contract with the Chiefs. But I think the other 3, McVay, McCarthy, and those guys, I think you could maybe, I doubt the Rams, but, there was rumors with McCarthy or McVay wanting to retire, blah, blah, blah. We know McCarthy's on the hot seat. So those 2 names within themselves, it's for me, if you said they weren't coaching next season, I wouldn't be shocked. Put it that way. Put it this way. I'm more blown away by Carroll and Belichick not being in the league, rather than if those 2 names, McVay or McCarthy, aren't in the league next year. I wouldn't be shocked. I just think it's, McVay's kind of mentioned that, maybe, he's ready to go himself, and McCarthy's just in a place where it's an all-cost win situation, and anything less than probably an NFC championship, I would say that they might look in another direction.
Yeah, and Pete Carroll and Bill Belichick famously met in a Super Bowl, one that I think the offensive staff, Darrell Bevell, just gave away for Seattle and cost Pete Carroll his second one, and Bill Belichick able to win it. I left out one other coach that's won a Super Bowl, but not with the team he's coaching now, Sean Payton with the Saints. we on these rankings, Kyler Murray, how does he kind of retell his story? How does he rewrite history?
You know what? You'd figure, he came back week 10 last year, coming off the ACL, and he played good. He wasn't phenomenal. He wasn't, the best quarterback we saw over the last, half of the season, but he came back and he played well enough to earn a job in 2024. And I think for Murray, that was the big question going in. How is he going to adapt to a new coach? How is the team was going to adapt to him? Because we knew there was rumblings that he's not a mature quarterback, he's not dedicated enough. But I think he's kind of maybe turned the page, and maybe he's elected to do some of those things that were brought up before that kind of hampered him from being the guy. You bring in Marvin Harrison Jr., a generational type talent who should advance the passing game. Trey McBride, great tight end. So, they drafted a running back early as well.
And you love James Conner.
Yeah, James Conner's a good running back too. You talk about the value they got and the work they've been able to get out of Conner, but nonetheless, I think Murray. I think the arrow's pointing up for Kyler Murray. Put it that way. I don't think the arrow's pointing down. When I was doing this, I really wanted to put him at the top. I wanted to put him at the top, but I just thought to myself, you can't live on the what ifs. You can't live on if he does this. There's the point where the guys that are doing it deserve to be where they're at. So, I'm maybe giving away a little bit there, but that's how much I think of the upside of Kyler Murray moving ahead, especially with this organization. I thought the Cardinals played really well under Gannon. The record didn't show it, but they played well. They fought hard. I mean, they upset the Cowboys early in the season, and that was just a gritty game where they just outplayed a more talented football team. So I think those little things, the way that team played, I thought that was a big plus for Gannon moving this team into this season, especially with Murray at quarterback and then enhancing the passing game with a guy like Marvin Harrison Jr.
Bo, thank you for reminding me about that Cowboys loss against the Cardinals. I'd almost forgotten.
Just kind of worked that in there, didn't
you? Sure did. It was that close to forgetting about it. I saw a story earlier today over on CBS Sports where they kind of went through and predicted, I think their different NFL writers predicted which NFL teams will exceed expectations, which teams would not exceed or meet expectations this upcoming season. Bo, what team do you think that might be getting a lot of hype this offseason that you think might not meet expectations or might just be a disappointment this year?
I think I cover one of them, and I still don't know which way they're going to. Yeah, I think I got to start with the Steelers. You talk about a team. I guess I'm not giving you an answer, but expectations are through the roof. But the bottom could fall out at any time. I mean, the perfect mindset would be Russell Wilson returns, and you never even see Justin Fields. Absent of that, if you see Justin Fields, that means Wilson's hurt or he didn't play well enough. So that was that's a swing and a miss. And then you're back to a guy who, nobody wanted, and now he's in. So I think expectations in Pittsburgh could be a little bit inflated, but nonetheless, I think they're better than what they had with Pickett. So I don't know, but I look at the Vikings. I look at the Bears. I think those are two teams I think are under 6 seed. I think there's just too much changeover without Cousins. And I know Cousins missed a lot of time last year, but I just think there's a lot of turnover, a lot of big pieces to kind of get quarterback position, what they're going to do. And I think on the AFC side, I think the Jets. I think maybe I think they're going to be better than what people expect. I still think with an Aaron Rodgers, Robert Saleh and that team last year, the finish with the record that they did under those circumstances with zero quarterback play, absence of anything. I mean, just absolute disastrous quarterback play. They were able to be a very, very good football team. So I just think with Aaron Rodgers staying healthy, obviously, I just think that's going to be a team that's going to exceed whatever their win-loss totals coming out of Vegas will be.
One of the coaches we will rank and talk a lot about all year long, and I think has already accomplished a lot. It has a big reputation, mostly deserved, but no Super Bowls. Kyle Shanahan, he's reached genius level, but there's no Lombardi Trophy.
Yeah, it's a big asterisk next to a career because I think the way he runs that team, the way the offense is, the way he's able to maximize the talent out of those guys, I think he's second to none in terms of maximizing what those guys do in San Francisco to the ultimate. And Yeah, it breaks my heart to think that he's lost to, because it's so hard to get there. And even, sometimes when I'm thinking, I'm writing, I'm just looking at certain things, you just assume that, hey, you'll get back next year. But, maybe other teams start to catch up with San Francisco.
Check with Dan Reeves about it.
Yeah, check with Dan Reeves. There's a lot of coaches you could think, hey, man, we're going to be there, but it's hard. But that said, what they have going on in San Francisco, and I know we're ways off, but it's going to be hard for me not to have them in the NFC Championship when we pick our finals, at least as of I think of, no big injuries and everything looks as is on paper. It's going to be hard for me not to think that they won't be in the Final Four of all NFL teams, and it'll be hard for me not to think they won't be in the Final Two, and that means they're going to be in the Super Bowl. So I think that highly of Shanahan. I think the 49ers are the best team on paper on both sides of the football. I really think they're hard to match in terms of how well coached they are and everything they're able to do. And it didn't go their way, but nonetheless, you got to love Shanahan and the way he's played. And I kind of think of sometimes kind of like Peyton Manning having to deal with Tom Brady, and it's vice versa. Magic Johnson and Bird, those guys playing in the 80s. Imagine if the one didn't exist, how many titles they would have had. So I just think of if the 49ers didn't have to deal with Patrick Mahomes, maybe they would have a couple more rings. But as it is, they have to deal with a guy who's on another level right now with a great team around them, and that's hard to beat.
That's a great comparison, great corollary you made about those teams. There's always that batter guy that comes along, though. I mean, if Joe Frazier had been the only heavyweight out there, and, here comes Muhammad, Cassius Clay, Muhammad Ali for all those years. Brian and I, when we talk golf, we always mention it about Phil Mickelson. Any other era of golf, he has double-digit majors, almost does anyway. He had to come along at a time a guy named Tiger came along. There's always kind of the batter tiger out there, the batter cat out there.
Yeah, I mean, and we'd probably be saying that about if Mahomes didn't exist. Who knows? Maybe the 49ers would have more Super Bowl. Maybe, I know they'd play in the NFC and the AFC, but, things
Tua might have
different. One. He might. It's a bizarre way that everything goes.
Joe Burrow, for sure.
Joe Burrow, yeah, look at that game. I mean, they had that game won, so you figure Joe Burrow's going back. And then what happens? You never know. But like you said, there's always a guy, there's always a team that is just a little bit better than everybody else. They just have that little something that you don't. Doesn't mean you're not great. You could be one of the best ever, but sometimes they just have a little bit more magic and a little bit more luck. But with those two ingredients, that's I think how dynasties are made. You got to be great, but you do need lady luck and you need a little magic in your hat.
Absolutely. Well, but you've mentioned both the 49ers and the Steelers, and one guy that has been tied to both those places, Brandon Ayuk, obviously with the 49ers right now. But who knows what happens there? 49ers seem like it sounds like they want to keep him, but a lot of different reports coming out. And the Steelers, a team that's kind of been out there of, could be an option for Brandon Ayuk if the 49ers decide that they want to cut ties with him. What do you make of that situation, and do you think that the Steelers might be an option for Brandon Ayuk?
I do believe he could be an option for the Steelers, just because of new general manager Omar Khan. I mean, he's upped the ante. He's changed the thinking of that organization that we've been so accustomed to, kind of playing it to the vest and not being very, aggressive in trades or free agency. But we've seen a total flip of the script under Khan, who's in his second year after taking over for Kevin Colbert. So I wouldn't rule it out. And it seemed like good reports came out of San Francisco in terms of them wanting to agree on a deal. But, wanting to agree on a deal and getting the deal done are two different things. And usually how these things are, and as we have in Dallas, you got the three-headed monster, and, the Dak and CD and Micah. Those deals are going to get done. It's always at the 0 hour. It's always before crunch time. And that's just the way it is. And I expect nothing less for the Brandon Ayuk thing. It's going to be something very close to camp, lead into the season, and then you're going to hear the names called. If we go into the season, then you got to start, and this is where I think you want to get these things squashed. If nothing's resolved and they say, hey, we're going to take care of you, then you start saying, hey, you know what, now we're going to look at, is he a potential trade candidate during the season? And then you got to think how good San Francisco is going to be, how they're going to trade a guy like Ayuk Is he going to be a headache in the locker room if he's disgruntled? I mean, those are all the little things, and there's never nothing to say that he has been or he will be. But those are just little things that can pop up in that mental drain. And nobody wants to deal with contracts. The players don't want to hear it. The coaches don't want to talk about it. They just want to get these guys signed. The players want to be happy. Coaches, organization want these guys happy. So when they're not happy, anything that's, going against the grain, any of that sandpaper that rubs against your skin, it's going to leave a mark. It's going to, cause a little bit of residue that you don't want. So I hope it gets done. I think he's a dynamic player. Do I think he's on the level of Jamar Chase and CeeDee Lamb and these guys? No, I do not. I think he's a benefactor of playing in the Shanahan system that can really, really knock these guys out of the ballpark on what they do. So that's where it's hard. It's hard to say, hey, we don't think you're Jamar Chase. We don't think you're Justin Jefferson. He thinks he's Justin Jefferson. But that's where I think the money's always that's where it's hard to say. Nobody's going to argue that you're going to, pay Patrick Mahomes. But as we talk with Trevor Lawrence, if you want to live in a nice neighborhood, you want to have a nice house, this is what the home costs. So, and it's the same with Ayuk. If the 49ers want to, keep him, that's the way it goes. And if Ayuk, doesn't settle, they move him. But I do think the Steelers could be in play. If you would have said this under Kevin Colbert, and I love Kevin Colbert, this isn't a slam at him at all, but just the way that they did business, I wouldn't see them making a move like this late in the year. But the way things are and their need for a number two, basically have number four is absent of George Pickens. They have nobody that's really impacted the league as a second receiver. And I don't care if they want to run the football or not. You got to have some decoys, and you got to have the threat of being able to pass the ball in order to run it. It's vice versa. You got to have both for them to be successful. So they're going to have to do something. I don't know if it's on the level of Brandon Ayuk. I know Steelers Nation would be very happy. At the end of the day, though, he mentioned it, Ayuk. We know the teams he mentioned, and I'd have to say that I would validate that it's a possibility. How close, we'll never know, but at least it's a possibility.
Bo, time's getting away from us, so you start in the NFC West with your quarterback rankings.
All right. Well, I'm going to go with Brock Purdy, young, successful kid. I'm going to go with Kyler Murray. I'm going to go with Matthew Stafford, and then Geno Smith.
Matthew Stafford 3. Interesting. Brian?
I'll be honest. I hate this division when it comes to quarterbacks.
I do too.
I really do.
I think it's toward the bottom. I don't think it's middle.
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of this. I do love Geno Smith, though, but that might just be more because he plays in Seattle. My list, I've got Stafford number 1.
I do too, Bryant.
I've got, this is where we're not going to be on the same page. I've got Kyler Murray number 2.
I got to see it.
I've got Brock Purdy number 3, and I've got Geno Smith number 4.
I thought 1 and 4 was easy. Matthew Stafford 1, Geno Smith 4. Again, 17-15. And that is a renaissance for him. That's how bad it was in the Big Apple. Stafford 1, Brock Purdy 2. Can't deny what he's done. And then 3, Kyler Murray. We're still waiting, but the potential is definitely there. It's been shown in flashes. And 4, Geno Smith. Coaches for you, Bryant.
My coaches, Shanahan number 1, McVay 2, Mike McDonald, the new guy with the Seahawks number 3, and then Jonathan Gannon number 4.
Bo?
I'm going to go with McVay. I think, 2 Super Bowls, and he's won one. And what he did last year I thought was phenomenal with the lesser team. You had the Rams play great. Shanahan 2, Jonathan Gannon, hard-playing team in the Cardinals last year. Love the way he brought that team around. And then Mike McConnell. No track record, so how can I put him above somebody? So
that's right. New guy from McDonald. I'm with you. McDonald 4, Gannon 3, and his team did play their tails off last year. I have Kyle Shanahan 1, but I had Stafford 1 as my quarterback. I have McVay 2, and I had Purdy as my 2 quarterback. What gives there? I mean, are we being inconsistent on rings and trophies?
I kind of, when I did mine, I kind of have in mind, I guess it's I can't, if we're going off careers, Stafford's clearly the number 1 without question. But I kind of think of who they are right now and, how much is left and where they can go. And, and that's kind of where, that's where I have Murray. I think there's an upside. I still think Stafford's right there in terms of being a quality quarterback, but how much longer do we have? Is the body going to hold up? Those type of things that play to my factor. And then Geno, Geno's Geno. We just know he's the back of the pack quarterback of that group. And I think if we almost went through any division in the National Football League, we probably have Geno number 4 or 3. I mean, I don't think there's any division where he's going to be number 2. So I think that's just Geno. And then you have Brock Purdy, who, again, if he was a number 1 pick, we would all be gushing. He lived up to the hype and all these things. And
we can't get over Mr. Irrelevant.
We can't, and it's you got to be a Tom Brady type caliber guy to get over that hump, and he's doing it as best he can. Yeah, and you're talking, it's lightning in a bottle. You're never going to see
Mount Everest.
That's right.
Yeah, but Brock Purdy, again, Mr. Irrelevant. To think of this success, it's unquestionable. But it takes the perfect storm. Would Brock Purdy have this success if he was in Pittsburgh or Cleveland or Cincinnati? Probably not, but he's in a system, again, with Shanahan, where he can really dial these guys in. And some coaches have that ability to really, teach these guys. And this is all different positions, I mean, not to say that every coach can do just quarterbacks. You can maybe, bring along an offensive lineman or a D tackle or make a defensive back great. So, but the quarterback is the epicenter of the league, and if you can materialize, and I look at McVay, what he got out of Baker Mayfield, and those type of things. I think Sean McVay is, he's right there, and I know the Rams are not at the peak right now, but Les Snead, I think the combination of Les Snead and McVay is a dynamic duo, and I think you've seen the success, and they went heavy on number 1 picks, giving up a lot of draft capital when they had success, and now you start to see that they're finding true talent in the draft. So it's showing that Les Snead can he can work either way. If you want him to give him the picks, he can give you the picks, or he'll keep the picks, and he'll make it work for the Rams. So just impressed with that duo as well. But I like the division, and I know you guys aren't excited on the quarterbacks, but I guess I always like those underdogs. I guess it's just my mentality. So this is just a division that I think they're a gritty, dirty, ugly bunch, but that's what makes me love them.
Why not? Well, Bo, as always, thanks so much for joining us, and we'll do it again next Tuesday. Enjoy the 4th of July.
Yeah, have a happy, safe 4th, and God bless America, guys.
You better believe it. You better believe it, Bo. Thank you so much. Bo Marchant with us every week, and he's right, celebrating our great country's birthday. Yeah. In 2 years, 250.
That's crazy. How about that? Wow. Hard to believe.
I can remember the bicentennial, right? 200. Well,
yeah.
I can remember well.
Yeah, wow. Bo took the words out of my mouth, though, about Brock Purdy. I mean, do it somewhere other than San Francisco, then I'll buy in. Other than that,
but that's where he is.
But do it somewhere else. I mean, until then, you're number 3 on my list.
Now he's the coach, but we're not as strident about Shanahan.
It's his system, though. I gotta praise the system.
He can do it anywhere.
Exactly. That's his system, so he can do it.
He's already reached genius status, hasn't he?
Oh no, he definitely has. I mean, when you look at what he's done with different quarterbacks and making them work, and with that offense, and just how he can plug guys in and really get the most out of them, it's unbelievable to watch.
How will the Purdy story and kind of the Tiger baseline for me is 11? I've said that.
Yeah.
When we do NFC picks, I'm gonna have San Francisco in that game.
Yeah.
I got to decide, are they gonna win it?
Yeah.
Advance to the Super Bowl, win the Super Bowl, or come up short again.
Yeah, it's hard to keep them out of that spot, just because
I'm going to have them in the NFC Championship.
I mean, they've done enough to put themselves there, I think. So it'll definitely be fun, and that's going to be here before we know it. We're going to be picking these conferences and getting right around the start of the NFL season. But let's go ahead and get to a break. When we come back, we'll talk about what's trending.
Join the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin, for Wolo and Friends. Weekday mornings from 10 to 11, here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
This Sports 56 traffic report is brought to you by Luttrell Belting. They keep you moving.
Welcome to the Rendezvous.
This is John Burgess. When my dad started the Rendezvous in 1948, I don't think anyone could have imagined we'd still be serving shoulder, cheese plates, and our world-famous dry rub ribs 75 years later. But we are still here in the basement, in an alley in downtown Memphis. We sincerely thank you for making the Rendezvous what it is today. Charlie Burgess Rendezvous, a legendary experience for over 75 years, whether you dine in, pick up, or ship across the country.
Hi, I'm Karen, owner of Lone Star Transfer. If you felt like booking your timeshare was difficult in the past, you know it's been almost impossible over the last few years. With an A-plus rating at the BBB, our clients know Lone Star Transfer is the only company they can trust. We guarantee the release of all liability to your timeshare in writing and in a specific time frame. Call us today to receive a free, no-obligation consultation at 833-594-0077 or online at LoneStarTransfer.com.
Looking for a way to elevate your engine's performance? Start with Napa Full Synthetic Engine Oil. It provides faster oil flow for hot and cold temperature protection in the harshest driving conditions. Regular use can help your engine run cleaner and longer by defending against sludge and buildup, improving overall engine performance and fuel efficiency while increasing the time between oil changes. Make the switch without slowing down. Feed your ride Napa Full Synthetic Engine Oil. Available now at Napa locations nationwide.
We're in the break room at a traditional jewelry store here. Hey, Mark, I know it's our job here to try and sell every piece of jewelry, but don't sell this ring. I'm going to try to use my employee discount to buy it for my wife.
Okay, but you know you can get a better deal at Genesis Diamonds.
Genesis Diamonds? Are you crazy? Better not let the boss hear it.
All I'm saying is I got a pair of diamond set earrings there for my wife and paid a lot less than what we charge here, even after my employee discount.
Wow.
You never know who you'll see shopping at Genesis Diamonds. With no middleman pricing on the best selection of diamond rings, earrings, pendants, bands, and bracelets, it's a no-brainer.
I admire your dedication to our jewelry store and not going to Genesis. I know the boss really appreciates your loyalty.
It's just the right thing to do, man.
And it's nice your wife won't mind getting a smaller diamond.
On second thought, can you cover me while I take a break? Genesis Diamonds, the smart alternative to old-fashioned jewelry shopping. With more selection, lower prices, higher quality, stronger warranties, and zero pressure. At Poplar and Perkins Extended.
At Jason's Deli, when you're dining in or picking up curbside, you can expect wholesome food and no surprises. Just delicious sandwiches, crisp salads, and quick quality meals made with the freshest ingredients and no artificial trans fats, MSG, high fructose corn syrup, or artificial colors and dyes. Around here, a lot of thought goes into what we put into our food and what we take out of it. Because you're not just taking the bite, you're getting a taste of who we are. New items are constantly being created to expand our menu for all tastes and special diets, vegan and gluten-free options available, convenience, and on-time delivery you can count on. It's just a click away at jasonsdeli.com. So whether you need to feed 5 people or 5,000, the team at Jason's Deli, they have the credentials and the commitment to keep you satisfied. Freshness is nearby at Jason's Deli locations at Ridgeway in the Parkplace Center, Poplar Highland, Germantown Road in Cordova, and on Goodman Road in Olive Branch. Jason's Deli is wholesome food and no surprises.
Sports 56 traffic.
Good afternoon. Still working with this wreck over here on 55 southbound at 3rd. A lot of rubbernecking has taken place over here, especially since the fire department got here a few minutes ago. Again, it's a crash, 55 southbound at 3rd. It's trying to move a little bit better through the Midtown area from that earlier car fire we had on 240 southbound near Union. Hey, Havenly Showers is your curbless shower specialist. Transform your bathroom with a tub to curbless shower conversion. HavenlyShowers.com. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Welcome back into Sports Time. Bryant and Brett with you in our Family Leisure Studios. We got a little bit less than 30 minutes left in today's show, and we got to talk about what's trending. A couple things I wanted to hit during this segment. One of them, we kind of mentioned it earlier, but the Big 12 put out their preseason poll in anticipation for media days, and Utah right there at the top and coming in.
And there's a lot of teams in the Big 12.
Yeah, a lot of teams, more than 12 teams in the Big 12 this year. But we've got Utah right there at the top, some other teams right there in the mix with them. But one of the teams...
16-team Big 12.
It's crazy. Big 16, I guess. And soon enough, it'll be the All-State.
Yes, it will.
12
it will cover just about all states.
Or whatever. It sure will. But
and the sad Ollie Gordon news out there today. Boy, this is the time that everybody just hanging on. No bad news.
Oh, yeah. Well, and that's exactly where I was going with it. Oklahoma State comes in number 3 in the preseason poll, and so much talk this offseason about Ollie Gordon III, the star running back. Brett McMurphy with the tweet last night, about 9:30, Oklahoma State star running back Ollie Gordon arrested for suspicion of DUI Sunday in Cleveland County, south of OKC. Oklahoma Highway Patrol says Gordon was driving 82 in a 65-mile-per-hour zone. According to a probable cause affidavit, the trooper who pulled Gordon over spotted a half-full bottle of vodka and half-full bottle of tequila. An OSU spokesperson had no comment other than the school, quote, was aware of it. But you're absolutely right. Not the news you want to hear from any of your players, especially your star player, and especially this close to the start of the season.
He went for over 1,700 yards last year and 21 touchdowns, and they got to the Big 12 championship game. They came up short in it against Texas, but then beat A&M in the bowl game. And we talked about one of 5 teams. I can't go past those 5. I can't go past. I can't call Texas Tech or Iowa State in serious contention to win it.
No, it doesn't feel like it. It really.
Can you believe we speak so fondly of Kansas?
How about that? The Jayhawks, Brett, they're back. Who would have thought? Not me. I can tell you that much.
Me either.
But here they are, and they got Jalen Daniels coming back, who, when healthy, obviously missed pretty much all of last season with injury, but before that, when healthy, just electric, an unbelievable athlete. I'm curious. I'm sure he'll be back at Big 12 Media Days like he was last year, but I don't know if you remember this, Brett. Last year had a chain that had an Apple Watch in it that just played highlights of him.
Oh, I do remember that.
And I'm
Thank
curious,
you for reminding me.
I'm curious if he breaks that back out this year at Media Days.
Kind of the Flavor Flav of Media Days. Wasn't it?
I mean, it'd be tough. I mean, that would be kind of the matchup of who's got the most swag on. It'd be him versus Shedeur Sanders. Maybe even have to throw Dion in that race. I mean, it could get, when you talk about what people wear to Media Days, it could get ugly at Big 12 Media Days with Colorado in the fold now.
Athline, their preseason magazine, for bowl projections for the Liberty Bowl, they have West Virginia representing the Big 12. They were just here a little while ago against Texas A&M in a appearance way back when. And again, they have them playing Auburn. Auburn hadn't been in the Liberty Bowl since 1984 when Bo was here.
Yeah. I'd be cool with both those teams.
And Auburn was in the very first Memphis Liberty Bowl in 1965 against Ole Miss.
Yeah, no, I would be completely fine with those two teams duking it out for the Liberty Bowl. Because I've seen Auburn, never seen West Virginia, so that'd be fun to have them here.
Brian, don't ask me why, but I was going through, and you've seen it for your whole time being in sports, certainly at the University of Memphis, in the Tiger Basketball Media Guide. All the number of bowl affiliated basketball tournaments the Tigers have played in.
Yeah, how about that?
Played in the Sugar Bowl tournament. Played the Liberty Bowl a couple years. Had a basketball tournament. I would love somebody to do kind of the definitive story on those. Sun Bowl always had a basketball tournament.
Yeah.
I want to say the Tigers played in the Sugar Bowl tournament one time.
Oh, man.
Against NC State and David Thompson.
Really?
When he was there and was real good. Another thing I'd like kind of inane, nobody else would care with me, and I want somebody else to do it. I don't want to do all the research.
Sure.
When conference teams play each other in bowl games,
Oh, wow, yeah.
Like I mentioned, the first Liberty Bowl in Memphis,
Sure.
after Bud Dudley moved the game down here, it was Ole Miss and Auburn.
Yeah.
We're going to get because now we've compacted, the conferences are big, but we've lost one.
That's right.
We're going to get a lot of conference versus conference postseason action.
You're definitely right. We will. That's good. That's interesting. I haven't even thought about that, but you're absolutely right. That would definitely be interesting to see. I'm curious if you saw earlier today. Speaking of when you brought up basketball, I was it made me think of this. Saw this earlier from Jason Munns a couple weeks ago when Penny Hardaway was on his big radio interview that a lot of people talked about, hour and 15 minutes. He talked about Caleb Mills, and maybe the door wasn't actually closed on Caleb Mills, that they had requested a waiver for him to get an extra year of eligibility. Continued to talk kind of what we've heard him say a lot about how important Caleb Mills was to that team last year, how losing him was a big hit, and that they were trying to get another year for him because of that injury. Earlier this morning, bright and early, Jason Munns
door slammed shut.
Broke the news, completely over. Caleb Mills' waiver request has been denied, and his collegiate eligibility has officially been exhausted, sources tell me. I don't know how many people were holding out hope that would come through. I thought it was a long shot, but now very clear that that's not going to be an answer for one of those scholarship spots next year.
Yeah, I'm with you. I don't know how many really were holding out that hope, but if they were, it was far-fetched. It was, from what I was told, it was almost impossible, and it proved to be impossible.
Yeah, and it was a very interesting situation because obviously, and we talk about it all the time, Brett, we have two fantastic beat writers at the two major newspapers here in town, and both of them, when the season was over, that was a big question of, Caleb Mills, is he completely done? Both of them said, checked with multiple sources, checked with sources from the NCAA, checked with sources from the university. He doesn't have any more eligibility. And then this comes out and, putting in a waiver, but I don't think many people were really holding out hope because of that information that we got right after the season ended. So, I'm still curious to see how Penny Hardaway finishes out this roster, but Caleb Mills not going to be a part of that.
All right, so I wouldn't expect anybody around, and plenty of time to get work in. So from now through at least next Monday, a real downtime for everybody, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And fair enough. They sure need it. So next Monday is July 8th.
Mm-hmm.
And you just said you're expecting some additions, and we all are, at least one.
Yeah.
So what happened to having everybody here good and early and getting all on the same page?
Yeah, no, that's a great question because
July 8th, I think, would still suffice as early, wouldn't you?
Oh, 100%. I mean, last year we were talking about this team being in the Dominican Republic, and that was in like early August, and the whole team wasn't together.
Remember, Quinterly was around SEC Media Days time.
That's right, yeah.
Real late July.
Because you were talking to a lot of, you had some good sourcing down there with people with Alabama ties after he committed.
And every one of them was right about it.
Oh, yeah.
Every one of them.
No, you're but some people didn't want to believe him.
I mean, it may disaffect a lot of people. That performance at Moody.
Oh, yeah. No, that was bad. It was really bad.
That was quitting on the floor.
Yes.
It was one of the more disgraceful performances ever.
No, you're absolutely right. And so, I mean, it'll be interesting. I would think that they would add one more guy, but, we're starting to get really thin in terms of, the transfer portal and, guys, impactful players out there that they can add.
It's like the middle in the NBA.
It is. There's not much middle.
It's been gone through, and the money has moved people.
Yeah.
You still could have somebody, but I don't think it's going to be anybody that changes a seed line for you.
No. I think at this point, it's going to be it's going to be a rotation piece. I don't think you're adding a starter at this point. Heck, even it was, I think, last week when we were talking to David Cobb, and I kind of asked him who's still out there that maybe the Tigers can go out and grab, and he kind of said, like, I think at this point it would be trying to get in on I guess now it'd be 2025 guy and try to get them to reclass late and, if they can and be a part of this. So
the luck
it's
the
getting
Tigers
thin.
have had with that.
It hadn't been very good. So it's starting to get thin out there, and I think this roster you've got right now is going to be your roster.
Right, when I talk about the ghost of Hashim, the ghost of reclassifying for a long time.
Oh yeah,
it's going to be Imani Bates.
Oh, for sure. It's definitely going to follow them, and
fair or unfair,
yeah,
it's going to be.
No, you're definitely right, and I would wish that it would be instead, the thought of Jalen Duren, but you're right, because of what Imani was coming in and what that season became. That's what's going to hang around.
And he was so young. And even some blanched it. I mean, I can remember some saying how the crowd at Ole Miss really got after him, and some going, to get on a 17-year-old like that. Sorry, when you reclassify and you jump in the big boy league, it doesn't matter. You're just 17.
Oh yeah, no, you're absolutely right. And so it didn't work out, but you're right. Was very young and. Just a very strange year with Imani Bates. But you're right. That's always going to follow him. And I think, Brett, we talk so much about Penny Hardaway, for better or for worse. He's a guy that, at least if you look at the track record, if something works, he wants to keep doing that works. If something doesn't work, he doesn't want to try it anymore. He wants that to be the experiment and kind of get away from it. And I think we've seen he has not kind of gone after and tried to get in early on these younger guys. And it's small samples, so that's only been a couple of years. But I think that might have.
But he was burned.
He feels burned from that. And I think once
remember, he said about Imani, he was going to teach him how to play point guard.
That's right. He was going to kind of wanted to develop him into Penny Hardaway, that kind of long, lanky.
I take that.
Sure, I would take that any day. But unfortunately, that's not what happened. But let's go ahead and get to our final break of the day. When we come back, wrap up today's show with Taco Bell Crunch Time.
Broadcasting from the Family Leisure Studio, we are Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Smoke is our sauce.
What is the Central Barbecue slogan? What are we playing?
Well, I just think that we don't emphasize often enough that even though Central Barbecue offers a variety of sauces at all of their many locations, Central Barbecue's barbecue doesn't even really need the sauce.
We should mention that more often. Central Barbecue doesn't take any shortcuts. The barbecue at Central Barbecue is slow-smoked Memphis style for 24 hours to make it so flavorful you really don't need sauce.
That was my point. Well, boy, do they have great sauces.
Oh, yeah. I'm not saying I'm going to go sauce-free at Central Barbecue. I'm just saying I could.
Again, exactly my point. Look at my copy. It's the first thing I said. You just hijacked the commercial.
See how it feels?
Looking for sports in all the wrong places? Try the Owner's Box Sports Bar and Grill in Lakeland Town Square. Fun, friendly, exciting, and comfortable with wall-to-wall TVs for all your favorite games, 24 taps for all your favorite beers, including NA and local craft beers, and an in-front-of-the-wall full bar for all your other favorite beverages, including a full wine list. And in an upscale menu, patio seating, daily specials, and events, and you found all your sports in the one right place. The Owner's Box Sports Bar and Grill in Lakeland Town Square, Highway 70.
I'm at a smoothie bar asking people if they'd switch smoothies with me for $574.
Oh, I'll switch.
So what about $574 if you switch your home insurance to Allstate?
That's a headache.
Nope, it's painless.
Oh, so it's easy money.
Yep, check Allstate first and you could save hundreds on quality home insurance today. You're in good hands with Allstate.
Not available in every state. Based on the national average annual savings for new home insurance customers surveyed in 2023 who switched to Allstate and reported savings. Savings vary.
When you think about insurance and you want great value without sacrificing great service, I want you to think one place: the Eflin Insurance and the entire Eflin Insurance team. Matt and his group of professionals will access 10 leading companies to find the right home and auto program that fits your budget and your absolute needs. The Eflin Insurance Team, the number 386-GER, 386-4777.
DQ presents Picture This. Picture the DQ freezer, home to all the Blizzard flavors of the past. Picture it opening to bring back the salted caramel truffle blizzard for a limited time. Picture that salted caramel truffle blizzard in your hands. It's all yours. No, really, it's all yours. This treat is too good to share. Everyone will have to get one for themselves. Hurry in to get this flavor before the DQ freezer closes. DQ, happy tastes good.
Summertime's finally here, and that means it's time to party. Lucky for you, Family Leisure is having a summertime to party sale. Now, what's all included in
this party sale, practically everything. 24-foot above ground pools for as little as $19.99. All ladders, filter systems, and even robotic cleaners are 20% off. Come in and look at all of the in-stock patio furniture Family Leisure has. Plus, it's up to 50% off. Play gyms for the kids, that's $1,000 off. Patio umbrellas, take 20% off. You can get a 4-person hot tub for just under $3,000. We know you're really going to just use it for yourself. Family Leisure has discounted pricing on all in-stock pool toys and floats while the supplies last, so you better get in quick. Plus, Family Leisure has special financing available. Just ask an associate for all the details. Summertime means party time, and Family Leisure is ready for any party. Family Leisure, Whitten Road at I-40, where family and fun all come together.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Brian Davis.
This is pretty cool, and we're just getting started, so.
Go crazy, folks! Go crazy!
This is for all the biggest crunch time.
You are looking live. In your life have you seen anything like that? Goodbye! Hello, Haskins.
It's obviously crunch time.
Hammer, nail, coffin, this baby is over.
The double steak grilled cheese burrito, so good. Double the steak with nacho cheese sauce, seasoned rice, red strips, sour cream, and the 3-cheese blend wrapped inside a warm flour tortilla, with even more 3-cheese blend grilled on the top. The double steak grilled cheese burrito, it hits the spot now at Taco Bell. And at Taco Bell, when they say they are feeding people's lives with unexpected good, they mean it. Bowl food you can't get anywhere else.
Well, Brett, what I learned today, we knew, I think earlier, that Memphis women's basketball would be playing Tennessee on December 18th inside FedEx Forum. But today, we learned they will also play Louisville on December 21st inside FedEx Forum as part of a doubleheader with the men's team, because as most people know, that is the same day that Memphis will be hosting Mississippi State at FedEx Forum. So a little bit of a doubleheader there for both. I'm sorry, say that again, Brett.
Night game for Tigers Bullies.
That's probably what it looks like.
So no, at first we thought it might be Tigers Bullies afternoon, Grizzlies
right.
at night.
Yeah.
So to be Lady Tigers against U of L, probably matinee or noon.
Yeah.
And then at night, Tiger men against Mississippi State.
So that'll definitely be a fun day at the Forum. I'm really excited to go out and catch that doubleheader. And also that December 21st will be a big day for college football with the playoffs going on. So it's going to be a lot of sports going on that day.
Not inconceivable, but I'm not selling anybody this, but not inconceivable, the Tigers could be hosting.
Yeah.
That day. They could be an 8 seed.
They sure could.
Well, I think we said with one loss of about 11 is the best they could be.
That's what it feels like.
Probably 12, but it's not out of the realm of possibility.
No.
And sure, could be playing somewhere else, and maybe even that Friday night.
Definitely, yeah.
Because there's going to be that one Friday night game. What I learned today, the welcome to the SEC parties are about to conclude for Oklahoma and Texas. They're in.
Yeah.
At some point, you got to quit partying and start playing.
Yeah.
This is the year for Texas, regardless of what conference they're in. OU not as much. Quinn Ewers says they will be everyone's biggest game. He's not wrong either. We went over it. He's right.
Yeah, he absolutely is. And, I mean, for better or for worse, that's what it is. And so.
Do we get the official on downward horns?
That's a good question. I don't know.
From Commissioner Sankey at Media Days?
Oh, we could. I don't know.
I don't think you can stop 100,000 people from doing it.
No, I mean, yeah. What are you going to do? Now, here's the good thing is there's not I was about to say there's not going to be any coaches in the SEC that after the game apologizes for the fans doing horns down.
Better not be.
But that coach that did it last year in basketball is now the head coach of Kentucky. So who knows? Maybe.
That's right.
That's right. Mm-hmm. Yeah. How about that?
Mark Pope did.
Sure was. It was.
Oh, great take.
So who knows? I don't know. But what I could have done without maybe that, realizing that we could get an SEC coach apologizing for horns down. I don't think he'll do it at Kentucky.
I bet Beard won't apologize.
No. I can almost assure you none of those football coaches are apologizing, and certainly not Chris Beard. I feel like Chris Beard is very close to a football coach in a lot of different manners.
Has that Gene Katie
he
persona?
Does. He does, yes. So I would say no football coaches, certainly not him. I'm trying to think of other basketball coaches that definitely wouldn't. Cal
would,
certainly not. I think most coaches.
Chris Jans, I think he wants a piece of Texas.
Yeah, I can see that. I can see Todd Golden being a coach that apologizes for horns down.
Yeah, bad look if he does. And I like Todd Golden.
I do too. What I could have done without
Barnes will definitely do it after they fired him.
100%. Barnes might lead the charge. What I could have done without today, it's that story that we mentioned in the last segment about Ollie Gordon, arrested for suspicion of DUI. What a season he had last year for Oklahoma State, and really supposed to be one of the breakout superstars of college football this season. I hate any time we see these stories with college athletes, anybody, and DUI. Now, this is different, suspicion of DUI and an actual DUI, not the same thing. But after what we've seen with places like Georgia, at other places as well, Florida has had some guys with DUIs the last couple of seasons. I just hate these guys that are, playing at a very high level and then going out and making decisions like this. You've got to, and it breaks my heart every time I see it.
I could have done without when he made the shot, and now I really wish he would have missed it. I wish he had missed it that night. Now Mario Chalmers wants to sue the NCAA for back NIL for using his shot in the promotion. The entire NC surviving members of the 83 NC State team, they're doing it too. And I so hate it. What Terry Gannon being a part of that. Terry Gannon, you've made it in broadcasting, and you made it largely off the notoriety of being part of that team. You don't own those highlights, and you know that.
That's right.
Well, I mean, it started out, we made money off the backs of these guys. Now we've come a long way from that, haven't we? It's just everybody in a big class action now.
It definitely is. But, the last time I heard of an athlete trying to sue for his highlights, he ended up going and playing in a makeup league for the Saudis. That was Phil Mickelson, who wanted his highlights from the PGA and then decided to join LIV. So I don't know if there's equal for basketball, but who knows? Where are you beaming tonight?
PNC Park, best ballpark I've ever been to. I hadn't been to them all, but it's a great one in Pittsburgh. If the Cardinals are in the wild card race, Pittsburgh's got to be considered as well.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. If one's in, the other's got to be there as well. Beam me tonight. Tigers and Twins starting here in about 30 minutes. Trick Skubal on the mound for the Tigers. It feels like every time he pitches, they're favored to win, but going up against a really good Twins team that currently sits 47-37. That should be a fun one.
Full schedule tonight.
Yeah, no, it's much better than last night after we got 3 games. But that's all the time we have. Enjoy your night. We'll talk to you again tomorrow afternoon.